Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If you'd like to request updates on any novel, consider becoming a Patreon or Ko-fi member. Based on your membership tier, I'll create additional parts for the novel you're interested in. Normally, I'll only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel due to limited time. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really helps.
Leo swallowed nervously as he waited for his new magic affinity to awaken.
Ding!
You have awakened Wind Magic Affinity. Wind Magic Affinity. F. Wind Magic Affinities. Leo muttered the result. He was neither happy nor disappointed with the results, mostly because he didn't know much about wind magic in the first place. Wind magic. Will it allow me to fly, like in fantasy novels? Leo wondered to himself, as this was the first thing that came to mind. If he could fly in the sky using magic, that would make traveling much more convenient. Leo looked at the magic shop after the purchase. Magic shop. Shop level 1. Awaken random affinity 300 MP. Increase mana capacity 5 MP. Increase magic power 5 MP. Improve magic affinity. Total MP 1. Shop experience 10 out of 100. Leo's eyes widened when he saw the new price for Awaken Random Affinity. 300 magic points. Such a tremendous increase. Although he understood why the price had increased, he was still baffled by it. Fortunately, the rewards I get for completing quests seem to get higher every time I finish one. While 300 magic points may be too expensive for me right now, I should have no problem paying for it in the future. Since it was too expensive to awaken another magic affinity right now, Leo has decided to focus on the other options, such as increase magic power and increase mana capacity. After getting out of the bathroom, Leo asked, "Hey Lilith, since you don't want to teach me Tier 2 magic spells, why don't you teach me some Tier 1 magic spells? Do you know any for wind magic?"
Huh?
Why do you suddenly want to learn wind magic? If you don't have any wind magic affinity, you won't be able to use wind magic. Actually, I have wind magic affinity, but it's rank F. I found out about this very recently. Seriously? You have both dark and wind magic affinity. Is that so surprising? Leo raised an eyebrow. Of course. It's uncommon to have more than one magic affinity. In fact, only 1 out of 1 million magicians have 2 different magic affinities. I see. Anyways, do you have any wind magic that you can teach me? Lilith pondered for a moment before nodding. This one should benefit you the most. Leo stared at the green magic circle on Lilith's palms and memorized it within seconds. You have learned the magic spell. Feather Step. Feather Step. Affinity. Wind. Tier 1. Mana 5. Mastery rank F. Feather Step? What does it do? It basically makes your body as light as a feather, allowing you to travel faster and with more stamina efficiency. Oh, that's pretty neat, Leo said. And he continued, now that I think about it, I don't know much about magic affinities. Each element should have their advantages and disadvantages, right? And how many different magic affinities are out there? Yes, that's correct. Each magic affinity has their own strengths and weaknesses. For example, dark magic specializes in destruction but requires more mana than usual, while wind magic specializes in support and speed but lacks firepower. That's pretty interesting, Leo mumbled as he absorbed the information. Lilith continued, as for the number of magic affinities out there, there's actually a lot, so I'm not going to name them all. Magic affinities are split into 2 categories, main and advanced. For example, water magic affinity is considered to be a main affinity, while ice magic affinity is an advanced affinity that is a superior version of water magic affinity. If you have ice magic affinity, you can use both ice and water magic, but if you have water magic affinity, you can still use ice magic, but it won't be nearly as powerful, and it will also be much harder to use while requiring much more mana. Water, fire, wind, and earth are all main affinities. Only 1% of magicians are born with advanced affinities, so they're quite rare. What about the light and dark? What is their superior version? Leo then asked. That would be holy and chaos magic. There are also other magic affinities such as lightning, space, and gravity. However, not all magic affinities have a superior version. I see. Magic is more complex than I initially thought. How interesting. Leo mumbled to himself. Space magic? Is that spatial storage magic used by Miss Camille considered space magic? He suddenly asked. Yes, it is. So, Miss Camille also has two magic affinities, light and space. How cool. Not necessarily. There are artifacts that can allow people to use certain magic, so not everyone who can use such magic has space affinity. In fact, most of them are definitely using artifacts since they're pretty common in this world. Sometime later, Leo asked, by the way, how come you know wind magic as well? Do you also have wind magic affinities?
Nah.
I just enjoy learning all sorts of magic even if I cannot use them. It's a hobby of mine. That's pretty neat, Leo said. Lilith rubbed her nose in a prideful manner. With that being said, can you teach me more wind magic? Are there any wind magic that allows me to fly? Leo suddenly asked. Fly? There is flight magic, but it's a tier 4 spell. Tier 4?
Got it.
Although I cannot learn it now, I am satisfied just knowing it exists, Leo said excitedly. The following day, at the Adventurers Guild, Chrome said, Leon, it's been a week since our first meeting. During this time, you have managed to master 20 different combos, and you even managed to land a clean strike on my body yesterday. I believe it's about time we start Phase 3 of your training. There's a Phase 3? Leo raised his eyebrows. This is his first time hearing about it. Of course. While you're pretty decent at fighting in close-quarters combat, you have no experience with fighting opponents that can attack you from a distance like magicians. Therefore, you're going to start fighting against a magician for your last week of training.
Oh.
I've been wanting to fight a magician for quite some time now, Leo said in an excited manner. Who am I going to fight?
Me.
A familiar voice responded to his question. Leo turned around to see Miss Camille standing behind him with a calm look on her face. Seriously? Leo stared at her with wide eyes. Dead serious. Chrome nodded with a serious look on his face. Aren't you like one of the strongest adventurers out there? Even your weakest magic is probably strong enough to erase my existence completely, Leo exclaimed. Don't worry, I know how to control my mana output. You won't die even if I hit you directly with my magic, but it's definitely going to hurt worse than being struck by a wooden sword. That doesn't make me feel any better. Leo felt an urge to cry. Miss Camille suddenly extended her arms and summoned two beautiful but threatening golden spears made out of light in her grasp. Hey, wait a second. At least let me prepare. Leo cried out loud as he quickly positioned himself. Good luck, Leon. Chrome laughed out loud as he took a seat at the end of the room, turning into a spectator. Meanwhile, Miss Camille tossed one of the spears at Leo. The spear flew elegantly and quickly, but it was not at a speed that Leo couldn't see. Whoa. After narrowly dodging it, Leo immediately started rushing at Miss Camille. I got you. Leo swung his sword at her once he was close enough.
Oh.
I forgot to tell you, but most magicians know how to fight in close-quarters combat. Chrome suddenly shouted. Miss Camille blocked Leo's sword with her golden spear with ease. Then, using her free hand, she pointed her palm at his face before releasing another magic spell. Leo was unable to react to this attack and was immediately sent flying to the edge of the room. Damn it, that really hurts like hell. Leo started touching his face in a panic, as he was worried that some of his face might have been blown off after that attack, not to mention the burning sensation on his face. Never lose your focus when you're fighting a magician. Miss Camille warned him right before she sent the last gold spear flying.
Shit.
Leo subconsciously moved the sword in front of his body. Although he'd barely managed to block the spear with his sword, the impact had still sent him flying all the way to the wall. Are you really a healer? Leo shouted in pain as he quickly got back to his feet to prepare for Miss Camille's next magic attack. And for the next few hours, Miss Camille would spam magic attacks to attack Leo without any breaks, almost as though she had infinite mana. At the end of their training, Leo collapsed on the floor with pain in almost every part of his body. Miss Camille is even more ruthless than Chrome when it comes to training, Leo sighed inwardly. How does it feel to fight a magician? Chrome poked his body on the floor with a wooden sword. It feels like shit, like I am fighting someone with guns using nothing but a stick. And how are you able to use magic nonstop, Miss Camille? Do you have unlimited mana or something? There's no such thing as unlimited mana. I only have about half of my mana left now. Half. Even though you've been spamming magic spells for the last few hours. Leo was in disbelief. I've only used low-tier magic spells after all. Sometime later, Leo chugged a stamina and energy potion, allowing him to move again. Since you'll be training with the Saintess for the next 7 days, I guess you won't need to come back to the Adventurers Guild. I have also stayed here longer than planned, so I will be leaving as well.
Chrome suddenly said. Huh?
You're leaving already? I still have a lot to learn from you, though.
Leo said.
Don't worry, it's not like we'll never see each other again. I will come back in a month, and when I do, I want to see your improvements. Here, Chrome suddenly handed Leo a manual. The entire formless sword dance technique is written in here, so you can learn the rest of it even without me. If you need some visual demonstration, you can go watch them on the internet. There are plenty of people showing off the technique out there. Seriously? I thought this was some kind of secret technique that only a select few can learn. Leo sighed. Ha ha ha. You wish. If you want to learn some secret sword technique, go join a noble family, or something. I'm just an adventurer. There's no way I would know something like that. With that being said, the formless sword dance is still one of the most powerful sword techniques out there, so you shouldn't underestimate it just because it's not a secret technique. Chrome left the Adventurers Guild shortly after. Shouldn't we return to the academy too?
Leo asked.
No, there's still something I want you to do here. Miss Camille shook her head. What? He raised an eyebrow. You're going to register as an adventurer so that you can leave the city and fight monsters. Are you seriously telling me to fight monsters already? Not yet, but you will be in a week. If you're going to live in this world, you'll need to earn money, and as a student of the academy, you're only allowed to work as an adventurer. Furthermore, this is the fastest way for you to grow stronger. Leo sighed before asking, You'll be out there with me when I fight monsters, right? Naturally. At least until I am confident that you're strong enough to protect yourself. Sometime later, they went upstairs to the lobby of the Adventurers Guild. He's here to register as an adventurer, Miss Camille said to the worker behind the desk. I understand. Please fill out this form. The worker handed Leo a piece of paper. Name, Leon. Age, 18. DOB, April 29th, 2022. Blood type, O+. What should I write for my address? Same with my emergency contact. Leo asked Miss Camille.
She didn't respond.
Instead, she grabbed his pen and wrote it by herself. This is a few blocks away from where Miss Camille from my world lives, Leo thought to himself after seeing the address. Miss Camille also added herself as his emergency contact. After filling in some basic information, Leo signed it and handed it back to the worker. Everything looks great. Do you have a sponsor? The worker suddenly asked him. A what? Leo raised his eyebrow. A sponsor is someone who supports your career as an adventurer by offering you artifacts, equipment, money, and other resources. In return for sponsoring you, they will also receive recognition when you accomplish something, and they can even request for a percentage of your earnings as an adventurer. The worker explained. I see, Leo mumbled to himself. He then looked at Miss Camille and opened his mouth. Do you want? No, Miss Camille refused before he could even finish his sentence. And she continued, a sponsor is not something you can take lightly. They must be trustworthy and have the capability to help you grow as an adventurer. That sounds exactly like you. Leo calmly said. I trust you, and you've been a great help to me. However, she still shook her head. I have never sponsored anyone before, and I don't plan on becoming one. You should find someone else. You'll probably have a lot of offers in the future, too. But you're the only reason I am becoming an adventurer. I won't ask for anything from you, and you can even have all of my achievements. Please? I want to repay you for all of your help. Leo stared at her with puppy eyes. Miss Camille's eyebrows twitched after seeing his expression. The old Leo would also resort to these eyes when he really wanted her help. Miss Camille rubbed her eyes and sighed. Fine. I'll be your sponsor for now. You better not do anything that will ruin my reputation. I won't. Then I will put the Saintess as Leon's sponsor, the worker said. Once all of the paperwork was done, The worker continued, "Do you wish to take the practical exam now?" "I need to take an exam to become an adventurer?" Leo raised his eyebrows. "Of course. We need to make sure that you're qualified to fight monsters before we allow you outside the city, or we're just sending you to your death." "He will take the examination next week," Miss Camille said. "I understand. Then I will just put him into the database for now." Leo followed Miss Camille back to the academy shortly after. The old Leo was also an adventurer, right? What rank was he? Leo asked in the car. He was a C-rank adventurer.
Huh?
Only C-rank? I thought he would be an S-rank adventurer like you. Considering how strong you make him sound, you'll need more than strength to increase your adventurer rank. You need to do guild missions and other stuff that increase your reputation. And in terms of strength, Leo could probably defeat most newly promoted A-rank adventurers, but there are many A-rank adventurers that are stronger than him, like Chrome, so he's between B-rank and A-rank. However, you have to remember that Leo was only 18 years old. To have such strength at his age is very rare and an impressive feat. I see. Once they returned to the academy, Miss Camille said to him, "I will see you tomorrow at the training center tomorrow after school."
Okay. Good night.
After returning to his room, Lilith immediately started speaking to him. "What did you do outside today? More training? Even so, I still want to hear it." "Yeah, but instead of fighting Chrome, I had to fight Miss Camille today. They said that I needed experience fighting magicians." "That makes sense, especially since your opponent, Kane, is a magician. I also found out that I will be hunting monsters outside the city next week." He sighed. "Oh, so you're going to become an adventurer?"
Yes.
"Is the examination hard?" "I don't know since I never took the examination. However, it shouldn't be that hard. Most students in this academy would qualify as an adventurer, so you should be fine as well. You should have more confidence in yourself. Although I don't know how strong you've become, I can tell that you're a lot stronger than before. You'll realize your true strength when you fight another student probably. There's only 2 weeks left before my fight with Kane, huh? Time sure passes quickly when you're focused on something." Leo fell asleep shortly after. The following day, Leo met up with Miss Camille at the training center for another day of training, and they would continue this for the rest of the week. And don't forget to vote. Gift if you're generous enough. How do you feel? Are you confident in fighting other magicians now? Miss Camille asked Leo at the end of their week-long training. "Probably," Leo responded as he laid on the floor in a puddle of sweat. "I mean, you're the only magician I have fought in the past week. The others will surely have a different fighting style, so I'm a little worried about fighting other magicians." "Why would you need to fight other magicians if you already have someone like me? You're just going to be training with someone much weaker." Although every magician has their own style of fighting, they won't differ from each other that much besides what magic spells they use. If you can handle me, you'll be able to handle other magicians. In fact, you're overestimating the students in this academy. Forget it, there's no point explaining it to you. You will understand what I mean once you actually fight other magicians. Anyways, we're going back to the Adventurers Guild tomorrow for your examination. Meet me at the parking lot like usual.
Wait.
Before you go, I have a question. What is it? I want to start learning Tier 2 magic spells soon. How can I tell if I am ready for Tier 2 magic spells?
Leo asked.
Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at Leo, and she proceeded to ponder in silence. A few moments later, she asked him, "How many black bullets can you use before you run out of mana?" Leo thought about it for a moment before answering, "About 40. After training his magic every day for almost 3 weeks, his mana capacity has increased to 420. Under normal circumstances, there are only 2 things preventing someone from learning a higher tier magic spell: a lack of mana capacity and a weak magic affinity. For example, most Tier 2 magic spells can be learned by people with a rank F magic affinity, and while they can learn Tier 3 magic spells, they won't be able to activate them due to their lack of affinity. Tier 2 magic spells also require much more mana than Tier 1 magic spells, and if you try to use magic that requires more mana than what you have, you'll immediately enter mana fatigue and fall unconscious, which is incredibly dangerous. Most people start learning Tier 2 magic spells half a year after they started learning Tier 1 magic spells, but it has only been 3 weeks since you started learning magic.
Half a year.
That's too long, Leo exclaimed. For normal people, that is. Since your magic talent is quite high, you should be able to start learning Tier 2 magic much sooner, Miss Camille said. And she continued after a pause, if you can defeat Kane flawlessly, I will teach you a Tier 2 magic spell.
Deal.
Then I will see you tomorrow after school hours. Once Miss Camille left the training center, Leo returned to his room. After coming out of the bathroom, Lilith suddenly approached him and said, Leo, I have great news for you. Oh, let's hear it. I had decided to teach you a Tier 2 magic spell. Huh? Leo raised his eyebrows. Why aren't you more excited? You've wanted to learn them since last week, right? Lilith was puzzled by his lack of reaction. I mean, I am just a little suspicious. What do you mean? Why would that be suspicious? Lilith's face stiffened. Suddenly telling me that you'll teach me Tier 2 magic right after I asked Miss Camille to teach me. That's too much of a coincidence. It's not like I am trying to be the first one to teach you Tier 2 magic spells or anything like that, okay? I just truly believe that you're ready to learn them, Lilith explained to him in an unconvincing voice. Whatever. I don't really care about your reasoning, but if you're really going to teach me a Tier 2 magic spell, I won't refuse, Leo said. Great. Then feast your eyes upon this magic circle. Lilith created a red magic circle that was slightly larger and looked way more complex and detailed than the magic circles for Tier 1 magic spells. Let's see how long will it take for him to memorize a Tier 2 magic. Okay, I am done, Leo suddenly said. No way, really? That only took a couple seconds longer than memorizing Tier 1 magic circles. Lilith's mouth was wide open from shock, as she had expected him to take at least a few minutes with this Tier 2 magic circle. You have learned the magic spell. Mana Drain. Affinity. Dark. Tier 2. Mana. Not applicable. Mastery rank. F. You have completed a quest. +1 600 magic experience. +8 magic points. Huh? Mana Drain? Does this mean I can use this to steal mana from others? Leo asked in a surprised voice, as he didn't think that he'd get such a useful magic spell so early. After all, this kind of powerful magic should be reserved for higher-tier magic spells. That is exactly what it does. However, you should only use this magic when you're alone, Lilith said. Why? Leo had to ask. Because Mana Drain is considered vampiric magic, and it's also considered forbidden magic, mostly because it's abused by vampires around the world. If you use this magic in public, they will mistake you for a vampire and hunt you like one. What? Forbidden magic? Why would you teach me something so dangerous? I can't even use this, Leo exclaimed after learning the truth. You can definitely use it as long as you don't let others find out. Also, even though it is considered forbidden magic, that's only because it's abused by vampires that mainly use dark magic. It used to be very popular and widely used during ancient times. The only downside to this magic is that you must touch the target in order to steal their mana. I have to admit, even though it's forbidden magic, it's a very useful magic that allows me to replenish my mana without using mana potions. This will definitely save me a lot of money. Leo thought to himself. Is there a limit to how much I can use this magic spell?
He then asked.
As many times as your body can handle, since it uses your stamina instead of mana to activate. I see. And how much mana can I steal with this magic spell? It depends on your mastery rank. Since your mana capacity is still very small, you should be able to completely recover your mana with a single mana drain, even if you just learned it. That's great. Even though it's a very dangerous magic spell with a lot of risks, I'm glad that I learned it, Leo said sometime later. Really? So you're not mad at me? Not really, but you should really tell me about the magic spell before you teach it to me starting now. Of course, I am also at fault for learning it without asking any questions. I'm still too hasty when it comes to learning magic, Leo said. He doesn't mind learning vampiric magic. Lilith smiled inwardly after seeing Leo's reaction. Although she won't admit it, she was actually testing him by teaching him Mana Drain, and the result was much better than she'd hoped. Anyways, I'm going to sleep, Leo said to her a moment later.
All right.
I'm going to wander the academy tonight and see if there is anything interesting happening. Lilith said before disappearing from his room. Once Lilith was gone, Leo opened the magic shop instead of sleeping. Since I have 9 magic points, I can afford one of these. Increase mana capacity, 5 MP. Increase magic power, 5 MP. Oh yeah, now that I also have wind magic affinity, I should see how much it will cost to upgrade it. Wind affinity, FE, 20 MP. It's not as bad as I thought, but I still can't afford it. After pondering for some time, Leo decided to purchase mana capacity first. I will benefit more with a higher mana capacity right now since I can use more magic and even learn higher tier magic spells with it. I'll increase my magic power after I complete the next quest and get more magic points. Confirm purchase. Increase mana capacity for 5 magic points. Confirm.
Ding.
You have purchased increase mana capacity from the magic shop. Your mana capacity has increased by 500. Mana, 920/920. After the purchase, Leo suddenly felt a burst of energy within his body. 500 mana? That's a lot more than I'd expected, and it only cost 5 magic points. Leo was pleasantly surprised by the results. However, when he looked at the magic shop again, the price of increased mana capacity had increased to 50 MP. Despite that, he was still satisfied with the results, as his mana capacity had basically doubled with the purchase. Leo fell asleep with a smile on his face shortly after. The following morning, Leo woke up earlier than usual to get some breakfast before making his way to his classroom. Good morning, Leo. His classmates greeted him with bright smiles. Morning. Leo returned their greetings with a smile of his own. Is it just me, or does Leo feel a lot different nowadays? He no longer looks as weak as when he first returned. His classmates mumbled to each other. His recovery is probably going well, so he gained some of his strength. Leo, how is your body feeling? One of the students decided to ask him. It's in a much better condition than it was 3 weeks ago, that's for sure. He smiled. That's great to hear, especially since your fight with Cain is next week. Do you think you can defeat Cain in your current state? Another student asked. Leo pondered for a moment before speaking. I won't know until I fight him, but I should be fine. However, to his surprise, the students all started laughing suddenly. Did I say something funny? He asked them. You always say that, but when the fight begins, you destroy your opponent before they can even cast a second magic spell. Even without your memories, you're still humble as ever. Is that so? Leo didn't know how to respond to such words, so he just kept quiet. Professor Jasmine entered the room shortly after and started their class. 7 boring hours later. This is all for today. Have a fun weekend. Jasmine dismissed the class afterward. Leo quickly organized his notes before leaving the classroom. However, on his way outside the school building, Leo was stopped in the hallway by someone with a familiar face. Hey Leo, I hope you haven't forgotten about our duel next week. It was Cain, and he was there to remind him of their duel and to provoke him. Don't worry, I remember, Leo calmly said. Cain suddenly started walking towards him. Leo stood his ground and didn't back away even when Cain was right in front of his face. I can't wait to break your bones and embarrass you in front of the entire academy. Leo smiled and said, and I can't wait to disappoint you. Keep up your act and enjoy your last week of peace, Leo. See you in a week, motherfucker. Cain turned around and walked away afterward. Leo took a deep breath before moving his legs again. Is it because of all that training I did with Chrome and Miss Camille? I can no longer feel any fear from Cain. His presence is simply too weak. Leo wondered to himself as he returned home to change out of his school uniform. Sometime later, he met up with Miss Camille in the parking lot where she usually parked her car. Once they left the school premise and were halfway to the Adventurers Guild, Leo wore the necklace that changed his appearance, turning into Leon. Can you tell me a little about the examination so that I can be more prepared? Leo suddenly asked. The examination is extremely easy, so I am not even going to bother explaining it. If you cannot pass such an easy examination after all that training you did, I will immediately sever all relationships with you. Leo stared at her with wide eyes. I will pass the examination even if I have to put my life on the line, he said in a nervous voice. Sometime later, they entered the Adventurers Guild.
Leon, right?
I have already prepared for your adventurer's examination. Please follow me. The desk worker brought Leo and Miss Camille to another room on the 4th floor. Upon entering the room, Leo could see an old man sitting at the table. However, this old man had an immensely bulky body. His muscles were so thick that it made his clothes look like they were a size too small. If it were not for his long white beard and wrinkled face, Leo would have mistaken him as a middle-aged bodybuilder. It's been a while, Camille. The old man greeted her with a gentle smile. Good morning, Guild Master Boris. Miss Camille bowed her head slightly. So, this is the boy that got you to step foot inside the Adventurers Guild again. I can tell at glance that he's not an ordinary fellow. The old man that happened to be the guild master of the Adventurers Guild this particular place approached Leo with a sharp gaze. Leo swallowed nervously, feeling as though he was naked before this old man's gaze. Hello, I am Leon. Leon, huh? Why do you want to become an adventurer? Guild Master Boris suddenly asked. Because I want to get stronger. That's it? What a simple answer. In fact, this is the exact same reason you gave me 15 years ago, when I asked you. He glanced at Miss Camille. I didn't give him a script if that's what you're wondering, she calmly said. Ha ha ha. I couldn't care less about that. Anyways, allow me to properly introduce myself. I am the guild master of this Adventurers Guild. Most people call me Guild Master Boris, so you can do so as well. Furthermore, I will be overseeing your adventurer's examination today. Although this is normally done by someone else, I just had to take over after hearing that you're being sponsored by Camille over here. Why you won't make the exam harder than normal because you're the guild master, right? My life is on the line here. Leo asked him in a nervous voice. Of course not. I would never do such a thing as a guild master, he said with a profound smile on his face. Leo sighed in relief after hearing his words. Anyways, I have wasted enough of your time. Let's begin the exam. Guild Master Boris led Leo to the center of the room, where a large square machine was located. This machine will test your magic talent. It goes from rank F to rank S. Place your hand on that crystal ball there. Leo followed the instruction and placed his hand on the crystal ball. Give me a moment. Guild Master Boris went to press a couple of buttons. A few moments later, Leo could feel his mana being sucked by the machine. Your magic talent is S rank. Guild Master Boris spoke in a surprised voice. Miss Camille, on the other hand, didn't seem surprised at all. In fact, her facial features barely moved. S rank. The magic system says that I have EX plus magic talent. This confirms that EX rank is above S rank, but just how much higher? Leo wondered to himself. Congratulations, you have S rank magic talent, though you probably already know that. To put into perspective how lucky you are, there are over 20 billion people in this world, but less than 10,000 people have S rank magic talent. Let's move on to your magic affinity now. Place your hand on the crystal ball again. Guild Master Boris instructed. A few moments later, you have 2 magic affinities, dark and wind. Huh? Wind. Miss Camille raised her eyebrows. She was surprised this time, as she didn't expect Leo to have a second magic affinity. Your dark magic affinity is rank S, while your wind magic affinity is rank F. Rank F. That's probably why it didn't show up when I tested him. His dark magic affinity most likely had overshadowed it. Miss Camille thought to herself. All right, just one more test before we move on to the next part of the examination. Guild Master Boris said. We're going to test your mana capacity right now, and that requires the machine to absorb almost all of your mana, so you'll experience mana fatigue from this. Don't worry, we'll give you a mana potion afterward. Whenever you're ready. I'm ready. Leo nodded. The next moment, Leo could feel the machine absorbing all of his mana at a rapid rate. Seconds later, Leo fell to his knees from experiencing mana fatigue. Here you go. Guild Master Boris handed him a mana potion immediately afterward. While Leo waited for his mana to recover, Guild Master Boris looked at the results. When he saw the result, Guild Master Boris frowned. Your mana capacity is only slightly above 900? How is this possible? Even an average magician who has only studied magic for 1 to 2 years would have this much mana. This is outrageously low for someone of your talent. What have you been doing for your entire life? He actually started yelling at Leo, as he believed that Leo had wasted his magic talents. Most people start learning magic even before 10 years old, so when Leo, who is already 18 years old, only has 900 mana capacity, it could only mean one thing, that he barely studied magic. Anybody would be frustrated at Leo if they saw his mana capacity and his magic talent beside each other, much less the guild master of the Adventurers Guild. Damn it! I didn't think I could still be this agitated at my old age. You truly have a talent to piss me off, just like your sponsor. Calm down, Guild Master Boris, Miss Camille said to him. Due to complications, Leon only started learning magic about 3 weeks ago. To increase his mana capacity in such a short time, it could be considered a miracle.
What?
3 weeks. This makes me even more furious. Guild Master Boris' face flushed with redness due to extreme frustration. After all, if Leo had started learning magic at the appropriate age, he could have been one of the strongest, if not the strongest magician in the country by now. And bonus chapter. Vote and gift for more. Once again, due to complications, Leon was unable to learn magic until very recently. If you continue making a fuss about this, I will get angry, Miss Camille said to Guild Master Boris. Even if you say that, I just cannot help but feel frustrated at the wasted talents before me. He sighed out loud. I understand your frustrations, but there is nothing we can do but to move forward. Leon may be late to the party, but he's still very young. It's not impossible for him to catch up if he works hard enough. You're right. He may have started late, but his talents are still there. As long as we can train him properly, he will definitely become a future S-rank adventurer. Boris agreed with Miss Camille's sentiment. Guild Master Boris proceeded to write down Leo's results into the clipboard he was holding. Magic talent, S-rank. Magic affinity, dark S, wind F. Mana capacity, 900. Note: only started training magic 3 weeks ago. Potential S-rank adventurer. All right, let's move on to the next part of the examination. Follow me. Guild Master Boris led them to a more spacious room, where a human-shaped golem was resting in the center of the room. Am I going to fight that thing? Leo wondered to himself the instant he saw the golem. This is a human golem. It has prowess equal to a F-rank monster. Your goal is to defeat it. However, you are not allowed to use artifacts or potions during the fight, and you have 10 minutes to defeat it. Any questions? Leo nodded and asked, as long as it's not an artifact, I can use it, right? I would like to use a sword.
What?
You're a magician. Why would you want to use a sword? Guild Master Boris was puzzled by his request. Actually, I have more experience with a sword than I do with magic, Leo explained. What? Boris immediately turned to look at Miss Camille and shouted, What is the meaning of this? I thought you were teaching him magic. I am, but he's also training in swordsmanship. That's ridiculous. He's already years behind his peers in magic, yet you're still wasting his time by teaching swordsmanship? What in God's name are you thinking, Camille? How I train him is none of your business, Boris. Are you here to lecture me or manage the examination? Guild Master Boris sighed. Do you have a sword? If not, I can lend one to you. I have a sword. Miss Camille. Leo turned to look at her. Miss Camille retrieved his training sword and handed it to him. Once the sword was in his hand, Leo nodded at Guild Master Boris, who begrudgingly activated the human golem. The golem started moving a few seconds later. Although its movements were stiff at first, it got realistic and fluid really quickly, and before Leo realized, the golem was already running at him. The golem started throwing punches at Leo once it was close enough. While its punches are quite heavy, its movements are incredibly slow. I can dodge it with ease. Leo wanted to test his training results on the golem, so he didn't attack it immediately. However, he quickly grew bored because of how slow the golem moved. This golem is weaker than I thought. Let's just end it.
Whoosh.
Leo suddenly used the first combo of the formless sword dance, sending out 3 strikes in a quick succession. The golem stopped moving for a second before it collapsed on the floor, breaking into 3 different pieces. That's it. Leo stared at the broken golem with raised eyebrows, almost as though he couldn't believe how easy he defeated it. Congratulations, You have defeated the golem and passed the adventurer's examination if this was a normal examination. Boris said to him with a profound smile on his face.
Huh?
What do you mean?
Leo asked.
Boris suddenly stomped the floor with his large feet, causing the entire room to tremble. The human golem that had been lying on the floor suddenly transformed into a pile of sand. The sand started moving shortly after, growing bigger and bigger until it transformed into another golem, but it looked nothing like the human golem and was twice as large. This is a sand golem, and it has the prowess of an ear-ink monster. If you want to pass the examination and become an adventurer, you must defeat it. However, you are only allowed to use magic. Boris explained to him. Boris, what is the meaning of this? This isn't part of the adventurer's examination. Miss Camille called him out with a frown on her face. Boris looked at her and said, Camille, this is my guild. If you want to be recognized as an adventurer here, you'll have to follow my rules. If you don't like it, you can go to another city and take the examination all over again there. I just need to defeat it with my magic, right? I will do it.
Leo suddenly said.
That's what I am talking about. The golem will start moving in 10 seconds, so you better be prepared before then. Boris said. 10 seconds, huh? Leo quietly stood there and waited for the sand golem to move. 10 seconds later, the sand golem suddenly twitched. However, before it could even move an arm, Leo raised his hand and pointed his finger at the golem. Black bullet. The black bullet easily blew a hole in the golem's face, but it did not stop there and continued flying at the wall behind it, creating a fist-sized hole in it. A few seconds later, the sand golem returned to being a pile of useless sand. Seriously? Boris muttered in a dazed voice after witnessing the whole thing. During the 10-second wait, he had silently cast Black Bullet and overcharged it. Once the 10 seconds had passed and the golem was activated, he released the magic, destroying it in an instant. However, even though he had a plan, it wouldn't have worked if his magic power wasn't strong enough. In order to damage the sand golem, he needed at least 1,500 magic power. That black bullet just now should be close to 2,000 magic power. A slight smile appeared on Miss Camille's face when she realized what Leo had just done. Did I pass the examination? Leo asked Boris a moment later.
Ha ha ha.
Guild Master Boris suddenly started laughing out loud. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, I will accept this loss. Congratulations, Leon. You have officially passed the adventurer's examination. And I apologize for my little prank just now. I wanted to see your magic potential and couldn't help myself. It's fine. I also wanted to test my magic. Leo shook his head. Sometime later, Guild Master Boris personally handed Leo his adventurer's license. You will need this if you want to leave the city by yourself or accept missions from any guilds out there. Thank you. Leo accepted his adventurer's license that took the form of an identification card. Name: Leon, ID 15057371101. Adventurer rank, F. DOB 04/29/2022. Blood, O+. Sponsor: Camille Light, ID 646090913. Date created, January 1st, 2040. Expiration, January 1st, 2050. Now that you're an official adventurer, let's start your training. Miss Camille said to him. Already? Shouldn't we prepare a little more? How about a lesson on monsters first? You'll learn as you fight them. That's the fastest way for someone like you to learn. Good luck, Greenhorn. I can't wait to see what you'll become, Boris said to Leo. It's also good to finally see you back outside the city again, Camille. Guildmaster Boris turned around and disappeared into the building shortly after. Meanwhile, Miss Camille brought Leo to another room that had dozens of computers, almost as though they had entered an internet cafe.
What kind of place is this?
Leo asked. This is where you can accept guild missions and requests, she explained.
Huh.
In fantasy novels, they would be posted all over the walls like some kind of busy office, but this is pretty neat and more convenient, Leo thought to himself. Once they found an empty computer, Miss Camille instructed him, insert your card there. You'll only be shown missions that are at your grade or below for now. Leo scrolled through the missions on the screen after inserting his card. There were 4 categories of missions that Leo could pick from: transportation missions, subjugation missions, territory control, or special missions. Do subjugation missions, Miss Camille said. All right. After clicking on the subjugation mission category, Leo automatically received a mission. Kill F-rank monsters.
Huh?
That's it? Shouldn't it be more specific? Leo looked at Miss Camille. Is that not specific enough for you? I mean, how many am I supposed to kill? What kind of monsters? The amount doesn't matter. You can kill 100 or none. The type of monsters don't matter either. Just kill whatever comes your way, Miss Camille said. Really? This isn't really a mission at all. It's not. Unless there are monsters causing trouble near our city or blocking trade routes, the guild won't hand out official subjugation missions. However, in order to leave the city as an F-rank adventurer, you must have a mission, hence this kind of vague mission. It's mostly just to let the guild know what you plan on doing outside. I see. Now that you have a mission, let's go hunt some monsters, Miss Camille said a moment later. Okay. Leo nodded in a nervous manner. After leaving the Adventurers Guild, Leo got into the car with Miss Camille. Since it'll take some time before we reach the city walls, I will explain to you about monsters, Miss Camille said to him. Wait, city walls. Leo looked at her with raised eyebrows. There was no such thing in his old world. This city is surrounded by a massive wall. It prevents monsters from entering and makes it harder for vampires to sneak inside. There's also a powerful magic barrier that protects the city from any magic attacks from the outside, Miss Camille explained. I see. By the way, I have been wanting to ask this for a while, but where the hell did these monsters and vampires come from? Leo asked. Vampires have existed since ancient times. There are records that suggest vampires have existed even before humans. As for monsters, this might come as a surprise, but we believe that they'd come from another world. Just like you. Seriously? Leo was dumbfounded by this new information.
Yes.
Monsters didn't exist until 1,000 years ago. They suddenly appeared out of the blue and started terrorizing the world. They don't care if you're human or vampires. They will attack anything in sight. Furthermore, no matter how many monsters we kill, they seem to keep coming back. Although the number of monsters today are far lower than 1,000 years ago, we cannot get rid of them completely no matter how many of them we kill. However, it's not like nothing good came out of it. While monsters are a nuisance, they provide this world with mana cores. Mana cores? Let me guess, it's something monsters leave behind after they are killed, and they contain mana inside, Leo said, recalling all of the video games he's played in the past when he was only a child. Yes, that's right. These mana cores are extremely useful to us, as they can be used to make potions and artifacts. It's also how most adventurers make a living nowadays. Sometime later, Miss Camille parked the car in a special area for adventurers who are planning on leaving the city. So this is the city wall. It's freaking massive, Leo mumbled as he lifted his head all the way just to see the top of the walls. Just how tall is this wall? He asked a moment later. A little over 1,000 meters or about 3,200 feet tall. Here, wear this ring. Miss Camille suddenly handed him a black ring. After wearing it on his right ring finger, Leo asked, Is this an artifact? Yes, and it will protect you in case I cannot, she calmly said. The two of them approached the gates at the city wall, where multiple guards with heavy firearms stood. One of them raised his hand and said, Show us your ID. Show him your adventurer's license, Miss Camille said to him as she retrieved her own. The guard checked Leo's ID first. F-rank adventure? And you're going outside with just the two of you? The guard looked at them with raised eyebrows. Although there are no regulations on how many people are required to leave the city, most F-rank adventurers only leave the city if there were at least 4 of them. I'm saying this for your own good, but you should probably come back once you have more people. It's really dangerous outside, and the number of monsters roaming has increased significantly over the past few days. The guard said to them, unaware of Miss Camille's adventurer rank. Thank you for your concern, but we will be fine. Miss Camille handed her adventurer's license to him the next moment. Thus rank. The guard was in disbelief when he saw Miss Camille's adventurer's license. Since it has been years since Miss Camille decided to leave the city, it was not weird for the guards there to not recognize her. Camille Light, you're the saintess. The guard immediately recognized her after seeing her name. Please excuse my rudeness just now, saintess. If it's you, I have no doubt that everything will be fine. The guard quickly returned their adventurer's license and took a step back. Don't worry about it, Miss Camille said in a nonchalant manner. Anyways, why are you guys leaving the city? And how long do you think you'll be gone for?
The guard then asked.
We're going to subjugate monsters. We should return by tonight. I understand. Enjoy yourselves out there. The guard saluted them as they walked through the thick city walls. Enjoy yourselves? That's practically the opposite of what he was saying just a moment ago. Leo thought to himself. What the? Leo's eyes widened with shock after seeing the scenery outside the city walls. Unlike the bright and colorful scenery inside the city that could be seen throughout all hours of the day, the scenery outside the city was the complete opposite, being desolate and deserted with no greenery in sight. Leo thought he'd been transported to another world again after leaving the city for the first time. What the heck happened out here? It's almost as though a nuclear war had occurred. This is the result of fighting monsters for 1,000 years. What were you expecting? Miss Camille said to him. I don't know what I was expecting, but this is just insane. Welcome to our world, Miss Camille said as she started walking forward. Leo followed her from behind and looked around nervously. Calm down. Although we have left the city, we're still in a safe zone. The Adventurers Guild had set a perimeter around the city that the monsters must pass first before they can reach for the city walls. It'll be another 10 miles before we start encountering monsters. 10 miles. Don't tell me we're going to walk all the way? Leo exclaimed. Of course not. We can rent a bike at the border of the green zone, Miss Camille said. And she continued, there are 3 different safe zones inside this 10-mile perimeter. The green zone is about a mile long starting from the city walls. Inside this zone, there are almost no risks of us encountering monsters. Past the green zone is the orange zone. The orange zone is about 4 miles after the green zone. The guards and adventurers that patrol this zone are significantly less than the green zone, so there is a higher chance of encountering a monster, but it's still a relatively safe area. The final zone is the red zone. While there are still people that patrol this area, it's not enough to keep it completely safe, so there's a decent chance that we might encounter a monster there. As for the areas outside the safe zone, we call it the wilderness. What about the other cities? Leo suddenly asked. Most of them are in a similar situation. I see. About 10 minutes later, Leo could see a building in the distance, and it looked like a car dealership with how many vehicles were there. Once they arrived at this place, one of the workers there approached them. Are you looking to rent a vehicle? Yes, and I want it for this entire week. Miss Camille nodded. What kind of vehicle are you looking to rent? A motorcycle. I understand. Please follow me. I will show you all we have in service. Miss Camille and Leo followed the worker to the back of the store, where over 20 motorcycles were available. I'll take this one. Miss Camille pointed to a red super sport motorcycle. Great eyes. This is the best one we have in stock right now. It will cost you $1,000 per day, but we don't cover any damages done to it, so you have to be careful with it. Miss Camille suddenly retrieved her adventurer's license and showed it to the man. S-rank adventurer. The man was left speechless. After a moment of silence, he snapped out of his daze and said with a smile on his face, since you're an S-rank adventurer, you may borrow the vehicle for as long as you'd like with no fee or charges. Thank you for your service. After taking back her ID, Miss Camille jumped on the motorcycle and said to Leo, get on. Leo swallowed nervously before wearing a helmet and taking a seat right behind her. After wearing her helmet, Miss Camille revved the engine. Hold still.
Whoa.
Leo shouted out loud when the motorcycle suddenly started shooting forward, and he instinctively embraced Miss Camille. So soft. Leo thought to himself when he suddenly grabbed onto something incredibly soft but firm. If you don't move your hands right this instant, I am going to throw you off and let the monsters feast on you. Miss Camille spoke in a cold voice. Sorry. Leo quickly realized what he was touching and immediately adjusted his hands. A few minutes later, they reached the end of the red zone. All right, get off. Miss Camille said to him. Already? Since we're only going to hunt F-rank monsters, we don't need to go any further. Once they both got off the motorcycle, Miss Camille parked the motorcycle at one of the guard posts there. Aren't you afraid that someone might steal it? Leo couldn't help but ask her, who didn't even bother to secure it. All vehicles out here are branded with magic and are not allowed to be brought inside the city. Even if they somehow manage to smuggle it inside the city, they won't be able to sell it legally. It's not worth the hassle for the amount you get out of it. I see. That's good to hear, I guess. Let's go. Stay alert and don't leave my side until I say so. We're entering the real wilderness now. Leo nodded with a serious expression on his face and followed Miss Camille into the wilderness. The moment Leo stepped foot outside the safe zone, his heart started throbbing with excitement, almost as though he'd just entered another world. Although it was just a couple of steps, Leo could feel an immediate change in the atmosphere. His eyes wandered left and right without stopping. He's never been this focused even during important examinations. Suddenly, a loud bang resounded not too far away from their location, causing Leo to jump and point his weapon in that direction. What was that? He asked. We're not the only ones out there. There will be other adventurers. Although I told you to stay focused, you don't need to be so stiff and nervous. That will actually make it more likely for you to mess up, Miss Camille said to him. I understand. I will try to calm down a little.
Leo sighed.
However, it was easier said than done. After all, he's never seen monsters before, much less fight them. He was only an ordinary student less than a month ago, and despite all the training he's done, it didn't mentally prepare him for this nerve-wracking adventure, not to mention the desolate background that made it naturally hard for people to see very far into the distance. Calm down, Leo. Miss Camille, an S-rank adventurer, is with you. He quickly calmed down after seeing how calm Miss Camille appeared, almost as though she was taking a stroll in the park. There's a monster 500 meters directly ahead. Prepare for battle, Miss Camille suddenly said. Huh? Leo narrowed his eyes in the direction in front of them, but he couldn't see anything. How can she see so far away? I can't see any further than 200 meters. He wondered inwardly. Sure enough, a few moments later, Leo could see a four-legged entity running in their direction. This entity had the body of a wolf and was covered in thick brown fur that naturally blended with the background. It was about 2.5 meters tall or 8.2 feet, much taller than most human adults. Its red eyes radiated with bloodthirsty killing intent, and its sharp teeth that resembled that of a saber-toothed tiger. When Leo saw this horrific entity that was much bigger than himself running at them, his natural instincts kicked in, causing his body to freeze from fear.
Leo,
wake up and fight that thing, Miss Camille shouted, snapping him out of his daze. There's no way I can fight that thing. It's nothing like the golem during the adventurer's examination. It's much bigger, faster, and scarier. Do you want to live the rest of your life holed up in the city like a coward, or are you going to live life to the fullest without any fear? You may not be the same Leo that I once knew, but I can see the similarities. I know that you're capable of defeating this monster, Miss Camille said to him as she prepared to attack the monster if it got close enough. Leo gritted his teeth after hearing Miss Camille's words. Even though he was always bullied and lived a lonely life in his previous world, there was one thing that defined him, something that he held great pride in. He may be weak, but he was not a coward. Even if he was guaranteed to lose and get beaten, he never went down without a fight when he was bullied. This may be a different world, but I am still the same person. Leo gritted his teeth and tightened his grasp on his sword. After taking a deep breath, he took his first step towards the monster. Once the monster was close enough to Leo, it raised its right paw and swiped its razor-sharp claws at him. I can see it. Compared to the speed Chrome swings his sword, this is nothing. Leo subconsciously smiled after realizing that he was not powerless before this monster. After dodging the attack, Leo performed a simple sword swing. Huh. Leo released a loud roar as he swung his sword.
Whoosh.
The sword went right through the monster's left leg, severing it in a single strike. The monster released a painful cry, but Leo did not stop and continued to swing his sword while he moved to the monster's rear. Whoosh. Another leg was cleanly severed, causing the monster to lose balance and collapse. When he saw an opportunity to finish the monster, Leo jumped at the monster's head while plunging his sword downwards. The monster released a loud whimper as Leo's sword thrusted into the ground, piercing the monster's skull in the process. After twitching for a bit, the monster ceased all movements, and a puddle of blood appeared underneath a moment later. Leo wiped the monster's blood off his face using his sleeves and gasped for air afterward. Despite having plenty of stamina left, he felt oddly exhausted. Congratulations, you have just killed your first monster. Miss Camille approached him with a slight smile on her face. How do you feel?
She then asked.
Oddly satisfied, he said in a trembling voice while his body also shook from excitement. In case you're wondering, the sand golem you fought at the Adventurers Guild is actually weaker than this F-rank monster, Miss Camille suddenly said.
Huh?
Even though it was considered an E-rank, Leo was confused. It's only considered E-rank because of its high defenses and powerful strength. However, it's actually quite slow and not really that dangerous if you can avoid its attacks. Not that you would know since you destroyed it before it could even move. Anyways, you're not done with this monster yet, Miss Camille suddenly said. What do you mean? It's already dead, isn't it? Leo raised his eyebrows. Yes, but the mana core is still within its body. You won't earn any money with this corpse, so you have to harvest its mana core.
How do I do that?
Miss Camille handed him a fancy-looking knife with a black blade and said, carve a hole in its head and retrieve the mana core from within. Hey, are you serious? That's freaking disgusting. Leo was reluctant. Then we can just forget about it, and you won't earn any money. Miss Camille took back the knife. Wait. I will do it. After taking the knife, Leo took a deep breath and started carving a hole in the monster's head. Once he could see something shiny, Leo split open the hole with his bare hands and retrieved the pebble-sized mana core from within. Seriously? This is smaller than what I had in mind. Leo looked at the mana core in his hand with a dumbfounded gaze. The exterior of the mana core appeared to be some kind of crystal with a smooth texture, and the interior contained azure-colored liquid. Furthermore, even though he'd yanked it out of the monster's head, and he was holding it with bloodied hands, there was not a single smear of blood on it. So, this liquid is what pure mana looks like?
Leo asked.
Yes, but it's not pure mana. In order for humans to consume it, we have to purify it using alchemy. And how much would this mana core cost if I were to sell it? About $500. $500. That's a lot of money. No wonder why people risk their lives to become adventurers. However, it's going to be a pain in the ass carrying around these mana cores, especially if I want to hunt a lot of them before returning to the city. Leo sighed. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at him for a moment before reaching for something in her spatial storage. Here. Leo looked at her palms to see what she wanted to give him, and it was a golden ring. Is this a proposal? He spoke with a smile. Forget it.
Wait.
I was only joking with you. Leo panicked when she took it back. After receiving his apology, Miss Camille handed him the ring and said, this is a D-rank artifact called Spatial Ring. It will allow you to use spatial storage and store items inside like this. She proceeded to demonstrate what he has seen many times by now. Are you sure? Aren't these things expensive? Yes, it cost about $10 million. $10 million? After some quick calculation, Leo realized that he needed to kill 20,000 more F-rank monsters to be able to afford it. Consider it your birthday present, she calmly said. Huh. Leo looked puzzled for a moment before realizing that it was actually his real birthday today. Oh, now that you mention it, I am 19 years old today, Leo said. I don't usually celebrate my birthday, not to mention how busy I've been with training recently, so I didn't even realize it. Thank you for this gift. I will treasure it for life. Leo thanked her after accepting the ring. She nodded. In order to use it, just pour some of your mana into it. Does this mean I cannot use it at school since I am not supposed to be able to use any mana? Leo then asked. Even if you cannot use magic, you can still use mana. Everybody has some mana in their body regardless if they can use magic or not. This is why ordinary people can use artifacts despite not being able to use magic, Miss Camille explained. I see. Leo poured some of his mana into the ring, and a hole appeared right on top of the ring. Furthermore, the image of an empty room without any doors suddenly appeared inside his head. You should be able to naturally see the space inside the spatial ring inside your head now. Miss Camille said to him. Yes, I can see it. So, this is what it looks like inside the spatial storage, huh? It's basically just an empty room. After tossing the mana core into the spatial storage, he could see it entering the spacious room inside his head. Once the mana core was inside, he proceeded to take it back out to see how it worked, and sure enough, he could see his hand reaching into the spatial storage inside his head. All right, we have rested enough. Let's continue your training, Miss Camille said to him a moment later. Yes. Thank you again for this gift, Miss Camille. I will definitely repay you in the future, Leo said to her. Miss Camille silently nodded her head and started wandering the wilderness shortly after. Leo stopped thinking about the spatial ring and focused on the training again. After walking for another 10 minutes, they encountered another monster, and it looked almost like the one Leo killed before with some slight differences in size and details. Leo didn't hesitate this time around and immediately confronted it, killing it a few moments later. After spending half an hour in the wilderness, Leo achieved his third monster kill, but since he did not use magic and only used his sword, it did not count towards his quest progression. Miss Camille, can I use magic to kill the next few monsters? I want to experience what it feels like to fight monsters using magic. Leo decided to ask her. Miss Camille pondered for a moment before nodding her head. Okay, but only a few. We're training your swordsmanship right now, after all. If you want to use nothing but magic to fight monsters, you can do so in the future. I understand. Thank you. When they encountered the next monster, Leo proceeded to aim his finger at the monster running at them. Once he had a good aim, Leo released Black Bullet, shooting it straight into the monster's head that went on to pierce the rest of its body before exiting from its rear. The monster collapsed on the floor, becoming nothing but a corpse. What the heck? That was super easy, Leo exclaimed after killing the monster in a single hit. Compared to fighting monsters with his sword, it was basically effortless and without any risks. It was like taking candy from a baby. Now that Leo had a taste of what it was like to fight using magic, he did not want to use the sword anymore. After all, it was much safer and more efficient to use magic than the sword. No wonder why people think magic is superior. Leo mumbled to himself. Don't get ahead of yourself just because you killed a single F-rank monster with your magic. You won't have such an easy time if you were fighting a monster with a similar level, Miss Camille said to him. And she continued. Your magic power is around the upper end of E rank, so it's only obvious that you were able to kill an F-rank monster with a single hit. Furthermore, this monster is known for having weak defenses. Even though Miss Camille downplayed Leo's achievements, not everyone can do what Leo just did. In fact, even talented magicians would have trouble taking down an F-rank monster with Tier 1 magic spells, much less with a single hit. However, Miss Camille didn't want Leo to become too arrogant, so she downplayed his achievements, keeping him humble for now. With that being said, Leo still felt incredibly excited and happy about the results. About half an hour later, Leo killed 2 more monsters using magic, completing his quest. You have completed a quest. Plus 2,000 magic experience, plus 10 magic points. You have received new quests from the magic system. Quest: Kill monsters. Description: Kill 10 monsters using magic. Time limit: 30 days. Reward: 3,000 magic experience, 15 magic points. Quest: Kill monsters. Description: Kill 10 monsters without using magic. Time limit: 30 days. Reward: 3,400 magic experience, 17 magic points. Oh, there are quests that aren't related to magic? Interesting, Leo thought to himself after seeing the new quest that required him to kill monsters without using magic. And it even has a better reward than if I were to kill monsters using magic. I guess I didn't waste my time learning swordsmanship after all. Leo laughed inwardly. After killing 2 more monsters with magic, Leo returned to using the sword. Miss Camille, I have killed around 10 monsters now, and they were all basically the same type of monster. Are there any other F-rank monsters around here? I think fighting a different variety of monsters will be a good experience,
he said.
These sharp-toothed wolves are the most common around our city. If you want to fight other monsters, you'll have to get lucky or wander further out in the wilderness. Since this is your first day fighting monsters, let's just focus on getting you more comfortable with monsters. Furthermore, starting now, you are restricted from attacking the monster until 3 minutes has passed. However, you can block its attacks. It won't be fun if you kill them before they can even do anything to you. Fun? Is this supposed to be fun? Leo asked in a dumbfounded voice. It's definitely entertaining for me, Miss Camille said. How evil, Leo sighed. During his next encounter with a sharp-toothed wolf, Leo purposefully allowed the monster to attack him without retaliating. Even though it's easy to dodge its attacks, I cannot help but feel nervous being around it. I thought I was getting used to them, but it appears that I am still fearful of these monsters subconsciously. Leo quickly realized the true intention of Miss Camille's restriction for him. Indeed, Miss Camille wanted to get rid of Leo's subconscious fear towards monsters by forcing him to face them without being able to do anything to them. However, since Leo was only an ordinary human until very recently, it will take some time and serious effort to change his nature. Sometime later, you have completed a quest. +3, 400 magic experience, plus 17 magic points. How do you feel? Miss Camille asked him. Tired, Leo answered as he sat on the dry ground. You have killed 17 monsters so far. Not bad for your first time. Miss Camille downplayed Leo's achievements once again. Most normal F-rank adventurers would struggle to kill more than 2 monsters on their first day, yet Leo was already approaching 20 kills. We'll stop here for today. Since it's the weekend tomorrow, we'll stay in a nearby hotel to make traveling more convenient, Miss Camille said to him as they made their way back to the city. Okay. Leo had no complaints. After returning to the city walls, Miss Camille parked her vehicle right outside the gates and said to the guards, We'll be back tomorrow morning. No problem. The guards said nothing about her actions even though it wasn't allowed. Sometime later, Miss Camille brought Leo to a hotel that was only a block away from the gates and rented 2 rooms for the weekend. I'll meet you outside at 9 tomorrow. They serve breakfast in the hotel at 6. Miss Camille entered her room after telling him these details. Leo also entered his room that was next to hers right after. After taking a long hot shower, Leo laid on the bed and thought to himself, oh right. Lilith doesn't know that I won't be back for the weekends. Whatever. She'll survive without me for 2 days. He opened the magic shop shortly after and proceeded to purchase Increase Magic Power. Confirm purchase, Increase Magic Power for 5 NP. Confirm.
Ding.
You have purchased Increase Magic Power from the magic shop. Your magic power has increased. That's it. Leo raised his eyebrows. He was a little disappointed when the system didn't tell him how much his magic power had increased. Guess I'll have to find out tomorrow. He sighed. Magic points. 31. I could increase my wind affinity with 20 MP, but it's not a priority. I'll just save my MP for the increased mana capacity. Sometime later, like a child with new toys, Leo retrieved all of the mana cores he'd collected today and placed them all on the bed. I made almost $10,000 in a single day. If I was still in my old world, I would be freaking rich. Once he was tired enough to sleep, Leo went to bed with the mana cores still lying around on the bed, treating them as though they were some kind of lucky charm. The following morning, Leo woke up and counted the mana cores before placing them inside his spatial ring. After breakfast, he took some time to relax before meeting Miss Camille outside the hotel. Upon returning to the wilderness, Miss Camille said to him, We'll continue what we were doing yesterday. Okay. 2 hours and 7 kills later, Leo asked, I'm a little tired. Can I use my magic for now? Seeing Miss Camille nod her head, Leo immediately started looking for the next monster with excitement. Of course, Miss Camille would still locate the monster before he can even see them. Oh, that's a new type of monster. Leo was pleasantly surprised to finally see a monster that wasn't a sharp-toothed wolf. This monster had 2 thick legs, a round body covered in feathers, and a long neck, just like an ostrich. However, this ostrich-like monster had feathers made out of steel, and even its skin looked metallic. What the heck is that? A steel ostrich? Leo asked as they watched it from afar. That's a steel feather long leg. It's actually an E-rank monster. A what? Leo was so distracted by its hilarious name that he missed the E-rank part. In order to penetrate its feathers and the iron body underneath, you'll need at least 2,000 magic power. You won't be able to damage it at your current level even if you overcharged your black bullet, she continued. We won't know until we try, Leo said with a smile on his face.
Fine.
Go ahead and try. However, if you cannot kill it in one hit, you will have to survive 5 minutes against it without me as punishment. Does that mean I will get a reward if I can kill it with one hit? Leo looked at her with anticipating eyes. I'll think about it afterward, she said after a moment of silence. Good enough for me? Leo nodded. He proceeded to aim at the unaware steel feather long leg and prepared to use black bullet. After overcharging it for a couple of seconds, Leo released the magic spell. Whoosh! The black bullet flew at the steel feather long leg with incredible speed, and before it could even realize that it was being attacked, the black bullet reached its body. Its steel-like feathers that could fend off even multiple attacks from a sharp-toothed wolf was destroyed almost instantly when the black bullet struck. Right after destroying its steel feathers, the black bullet proceeded to strike its sturdy body without slowing down, penetrating it with almost no resistance whatsoever. However, the steel feather long leg did not immediately die, even though it had a hole in its body. It turned to look at Leo with a terrified look for a second before turning around and running away in the opposite direction, its blood pouring out of the hole in its body as it ran. Does that count as my win? I couldn't kill it immediately, but it will definitely die of blood loss and sooner or later, right? Leo spoke in a calm voice as he turned to look at Miss Camille, who had a look of disbelief on her face at this moment. Has he been hiding his power this entire time? The magic power of that spell just now should be around 2,500. And it's only a tier 1 magic spell. Miss Camille was shocked by the results. Just yesterday, Leo's magic power with Black Bullet was only about 1,800 to 1,900 even when he overcharged it. However, his magic power had suddenly jumped by over 500 in a single day, which wasn't normal even by genius standards. Therefore, Miss Camille could only come to the conclusion that Leo had been hiding his true power. It doesn't count. The steel feather long leg is still alive, so it doesn't count, she eventually said in a cold voice, feeling like she had been tricked. Oh well. Leo shrugged. They returned to looking for more monsters shortly after. After encountering a sharp-toothed wolf, Leo used Black Bullet on it, killing it without needing to overcharge it. Not bad. Although I won't know the exact amount, it's safe to say that my magic power has increased significantly after the purchase. This magic system is truly a godsend, Leo thought to himself as he went to harvest the monster's mana core. Leo looked at his progress for his quest. Quest: kill monsters. Description: kill 10 monsters using magic. Time limit: 30 days. Reward: 3,000 magic experience, 15 magic points. Progress: 4 out of 10. I killed 4 monsters with magic? I guess that ostrich died due to blood loss. At the end of the day, Leo returned to the city with Miss Camille. 40 mana cores. I have managed to kill even more monsters today. Leo smiled as he stared at the mana cores spread out on his bed. As for his quest, he only needed to kill 3 more monsters with magic to complete it. The following day, Miss Camille said to him, "You will be entering the wilderness by yourself today. Your goal is to kill 10 monsters." "I'm going by myself?" Leo was dumbfounded. He didn't think she'd leave him alone so quickly. "After seeing your progress and confidence for the past 2 days, I think you'll do fine by yourself. Just don't wander too far from the city." "I don't know. Isn't it a little too early for me to go alone? The earlier you can go outside by yourself, the better. Or, do you want me to hold your hands forever?" she asked. "I would actually like that, even though I know it's not possible." Leo smiled. Sometime later, Miss Camille brought Leo outside the safe zone, where she left him alone. "Come back before 6 p.m. Wait, how do I know where to go? I'm not like you, who can walk around without a map." Miss Camille proceeded to hand him a flat device that resembled a phone, but there was only one function to it. Press this button, and it will open up a map. This device also has a built-in GPS tracker, so you will know where you are at all times. I have already marked this location. Whenever you're ready to come back, just follow the device back here. This is pretty neat. How far does this thing track? Leo asked as he fiddled with the device. 50 miles around the city. Then, I will see you later. Miss Camille turned around and started driving back to the city shortly after. She really left me alone, Leo mumbled to himself as he watched her figure disappear into the distance. After standing there without moving for a full minute to sink in the fact that he was truly alone in the wilderness, Leo began walking further away from the city. Now that he was alone, he had to be even more cautious and alert of his surroundings. An hour later, Leo stopped and sighed. How does Miss Camille find the monsters? When I am with her, we would encounter one every 10 to 15 minutes. He realized that without Miss Camille, finding a monster was even more challenging than defeating one. No wonder why she only told me to kill 10 monsters. She knew that this would happen. Since there was nothing he could do besides wander aimlessly and hope to encounter a monster, that was what he did. Eventually, he encountered his first monster of the day, and it was another sharp-toothed wolf. Leo decided to use magic to kill this monster since he still needed 3 more kills to complete his quest. After killing it with a single black bullet, he went to harvest its mana core. I still can't seem to get used to this, even though I've been doing it for 2 days now, he sighed as he dug out the mana core from the monster's forehead. After tossing the mana core into his spatial ring, Leo continued to look for more monsters. Fortunately, he ran into another one about 10 minutes later. However, after that, he would not find another monster for another hour. You have completed a quest. Plus 3000 magic experience. Plus 15 magic points.
Ding.
You have received a new quest. Quest: Kill monsters. Description: Kill 50 monsters. Time limit: 30 days. Reward: 5,000 magic experience, 25 magic points. Oh? Since it doesn't specify whether I need to use magic or not, I can kill monsters with whatever and still progress, right? Leo continued his training after a short break. After walking for a few minutes, he came to a halt when he suddenly heard noises coming from his right side. Sounds like somebody is fighting over there. Leo pondered for a moment before walking towards the sound. When he was with Miss Camille, even though they would hear people fighting nearby, they would never approach them for some reason. In fact, they have not seen any other adventurer for the past 2 days, almost as though they were purposefully avoiding other adventurers. A few minutes later, Leo could finally see the situation ahead, where a group of 3 adventurers were fighting with a single sharp-toothed wolf, and they appeared to be struggling against it. Seriously? Why are they having so much trouble when they have 3 people fighting it? Leo thought to himself as he watched them from afar. The group struggled for a few more minutes before finally subduing the monster. Are you guys okay? Leo approached them afterward. To his surprise, when the group noticed his presence, they immediately aimed their weapons at him. Stay back or we will attack. One of them shouted at him.
Whoa.
Calm down. Leo subconsciously raised his hands to show that he was not a threat. Stay back. However, the group did not let their guards down and even became more aggressive. All right, I'll leave you guys alone. Without any choice, Leo turned around and started walking away. What's their problem? He thought to himself. After taking a few steps, Leo suddenly had an uneasy feeling in his guts. Fireball. He heard someone behind him shout. Leo immediately turned around to see that one of the people in the group had casted magic, and a ball of fire was flying in his direction. What the fuck? Leo cursed out loud and subconsciously used Black Bullet on the incoming fireball, shooting it right in the air and causing it to explode. The group were stunned by what they had just witnessed and froze for a moment. What the hell is your problem? Leo shouted at them afterward, his heart throbbing with agitation. However, the group did not respond. 2 of them even started running at him with their weapons raised. One of them had a sword, and the other had an axe. Leo quickly readied his sword and prepared to fight them. Once they were close enough, the 2 adventurers with a weapon attacked Leo from 2 different angles. Leo dodged one of the attacks with ease before deflecting the other with his sword. Let's calm down and talk about this, okay? Leo tried to talk to them, but they ignored him. Fireball. Their third member casted another magic spell at him. Damn it. Leo had no choice but to use his weapon to intercept the attack, since he didn't have the luxury to cast magic. After cutting the fireball in half, the magic dissipated, which had a different reaction than before since it didn't explode. However, he had no time to think about what had just happened because the other two adventurers were already swinging their weapons at him. Leo was able to block one of them, but
Shit.
I can't dodge this one. Leo cried inwardly as he prepared for the worst. Suddenly, a painful scream came from the person behind him, and before Leo could turn around to see what had happened, a golden spear struck the man in the front, killing him instantly. This magic is... Leo recognized this magic, but he was still trying to process everything else. Who's there? The last person in the group shouted in a terrified voice as he looked around in a panicked manner. A few moments later, he could see a person appearing in the distance. She was a beautiful woman with a cold expression on her face, and she was holding a spear made of golden light in one of her hands. Miss. Before Leo could even call out to her, Miss Camille tossed the spear in her hand. The spear flew right past Leo and struck the terrified man a few meters away, killing him as well. Leo looked at the gruesome scene with a horrified look on his face. This was his first time seeing human corpses, much less witnessing people being killed right before his eyes. Blarg. Leo suddenly puked out everything he ate for breakfast after he snapped out of his daze. And Miss Camille, you killed them? Leo looked at her, still with a horrified expression on his face. They would have killed you if I didn't kill them, she calmly responded, acting as though this wasn't her first time killing others. Why would they do that? I didn't even do anything to them. There was probably just some kind of misunderstanding, he exclaimed. What do you know? They wanted to kill you and steal your stuff because you looked like an easy target, and they were right. Miss Camille coldly sneered, and she continued, if you think monsters are the most dangerous beings in the wilderness, think again. Humans can be just as dangerous, if not even more dangerous than monsters out here. Even if you say that, isn't it illegal to kill other humans in this world? Or are you going to tell me that such law doesn't exist in this crazy world? Of course it is illegal to kill others. However, out here in the wilderness where there are no people watching, people can pretty much do whatever they want as long as they're not caught. It's almost like the law of the jungle where there are no rules. The strong devours the weak, whether it be monsters or humans. Remember this, Leo. You have no friends in the wilderness. People you think you can trust could be planning to stab you in the back when you're not watching. Even people that have been friends for a decade could turn on each other in the blink of an eye. I could have told you this before letting you come out here alone, but I figured that it would be better for you to experience the cruel world out here for yourself. Leo gritted his teeth in frustration. He turned to look at the corpses. What she said is not wrong, and it could even be applied in my old world. Even the most powerful predator out there cannot compare to humans, who can plan and plot against others. However, it just feels wrong. Leo sighed inwardly. Leo, I know it won't be easy, but you need to get rid of your morals. What made sense in your old world will not make any sense here, and vice versa. If you want to survive the wilderness, you need not only the resolve to kill monsters but other humans as well. If you're not prepared to do so, then allow me to kill you right here and right now. This way, you will suffer less, and I won't have to waste any more effort on you. Miss Camille suddenly summoned a golden spear and pointed it at Leo's neck. Leo swallowed nervously. Decide. Miss Camille poked his neck with the tip of her spear. Leo could feel a drop of blood sliding down his neck afterward. After a moment of silence, Leo took a step back and said, I would be insane if I could throw away my morals so easily. However, I am not stupid enough to let people kill me without fighting back. I will do what I have to in order to protect myself and this life of mine. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes at him. You're a weird one, Leo. After retrieving her spear, she continued, I experienced my first kill when I was only 12 years old, and he was my tutor. He taught me a lot about being an adventurer when I just became one. What happened? Leo couldn't help but ask her out of curiosity. He tried to take advantage of me one night, So I blew a hole in his chest where his heart was located, she calmly said. That's Leo was speechless. Even though he treated me like his own daughter for a whole year, I killed him without any hesitation. That's when I learned that even the one you trust the most can betray you. It's only a matter of when. Since then, I have killed countless humans alongside monsters. Things sure got dark pretty fast. As expected, a world where monsters and magic exist cannot be normal, he sighed inwardly. After a moment of silence, Leo spoke. I don't know what kind of life you have lived or the kind of people you have met, but I can promise you one thing, that I would never betray you. If I ever betray you, I welcome you to pierce my heart with that spear. Of course, that will never happen because I will never betray you. Seeing Leo's bright smile, it was Miss Camille's turn to become speechless. How can you say something that embarrassing with a straight face? I'm impressed. Why you? He immediately blushed. Anyways, what should we do with these corpses? Just leave them here for the monsters to consume? Won't that just make them stronger? Leo asked her a moment later to change the topic. Yes, monsters will grow stronger if they eat humans since we contain mana in our body. However, it doesn't really matter in this situation since they're so weak. Just leave them here. Oh, make sure to search their bodies for any valuables first. We're going to rob them as well? My God, Leo was speechless. Even though he said that, he was the first one to start searching the corpses, dumbfounding Miss Camille. Sometime later, Leo said, Miss Camille, since you're here and have been following me for a while now, according to your own words, why don't you just stay with me for today's training? I seem to have trouble finding monsters without you. You don't mind? Miss Camille raised her eyebrows. Mind what? You don't mind being with me? I killed a lot of people, you know, more than even many other S-rank adventurers. So, what if you killed a lot of people? That's how this world works, right? I don't like killing people, but it's not like I don't understand why it must be done. If this was my old world, and the Miss Camille I know turned out to be a mass murderer, then I might be a bit worried. I know I said this before, but you're quick to adapt, Miss Camille mumbled in a dazed voice. Sometime later, after looting all 3 corpses, Leo sighed. These people are really poor. They only have a stamina potion on each of them, with the magician having a mana potion instead. Unless they're rich or they're staying out here for longer than one day, it's normal to carry around that much, and they're F-rank adventurers like you. What about their weapons? Are they worth anything? No, they're just ordinary weapons. Miss Camille shook her head. Then forget it. Fortunately, they also have 3 mana cores. You don't like killing people, but you don't mind robbing their corpses? Don't compare apples with oranges. It'd be a waste if we just leave it here with them, and it's not like they will be needing it, he said. You may not be insane, but you're definitely not completely normal, either. Miss Camille couldn't help but smile. Once Leo was sure that he didn't leave anything of value behind, they walked away from the crime scene and returned to hunting monsters. After hunting for about an hour, Leo managed to kill 4 monsters. I have been wanting to ask you this for a while now. Just how do you do it? It's like you have some kind of radar that tells you where you can find the monsters. Is it a magic spell? Leo suddenly asked her. No, it's nothing like that. When a monster is nearby, the mana in that area will have a certain reaction. You can actually do it right now if you know what you're looking for. And she continued, focus your eyes and try to see the mana around us. Leo nodded. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes, he was able to see the mana in the air that would normally be invisible. This is what undisturbed mana looks like. Memorize it for now. I will let you know when to look again. Okay. Sometime later, once they were close to a monster, Miss Camille said, look at the mana again and tell me what's different. Leo nodded and looked at the mana around them. Oh, the mana in that direction appears to be distorted,
he said.
Indeed. If you see that, there is most likely a monster in that direction, and the closer you are to that monster, the stronger the distortion. Of course, monsters are not the only thing that can distort the mana in the air. If you use a powerful magic spell, that could also distort mana. This includes artifacts. Miss Camille explained. I see. You should have taught me this sooner. You have no idea how frustrating it was to walk an entire hour without seeing Any monster. Leo sighed out loud. You never asked. She shrugged. Now that Leo knew the secret to finding monsters, he started confronting them without Miss Camille's help. And for the rest of the day, even though Miss Camille was by his side, it felt like he was experiencing the wilderness by himself. I have harvested 66 mana cores. That's a little over $30,000. Where can I sell them? Leo asked once they returned to the city. You can sell them at the Adventurers Guild. They are guaranteed to have the fairest rates out there, said Miss Camille. I understand. Let's drop by the Adventurers Guild before we return to the academy. I want to sell my mana cores,
he suggested.
Sometime later, they checked out of the hotel and started making their way back to the academy. Since the Adventurers Guild was on the way to the academy, they made a quick stop there so that Leo could sell his hard-earned mana cores. The guild can give you $33,000 for these mana cores. Are you okay with this amount? The worker there asked him. I am. Leo nodded without any hesitation. Would you like the money in cash or credit?
The worker then asked.
Can you put it into this card? Leo showed his Academy Bank card. Certainly. The worker took his mana cores and card. A few moments later, he returned the card back to Leo. Thank you for your business. The worker bowed with a smile. Thank you too. After putting away his card, Leo followed Miss Camille back to her car. When they returned to the academy, before Leo could even approach the academy gates, he could see a beautiful young lady with a familiar face floating in the sky, and she appeared to be searching for something or someone. This ghost, Leo shook his head after seeing Lilith at the front gates. Once Lilith noticed Leo, she immediately started waving and shouting at him. Leo, you're alive. I'm really glad. I thought you had died. Where did you go? Do you have any idea how worried I have been? You should have told me before disappearing for 2 whole days. She sounds like someone's overprotective mother when her son returns home an hour late because of traffic. Leo couldn't help but smile after seeing Lilith's reaction. After signing back in the academy, Leo said his goodbyes to Miss Camille before making his way back to the dorm. Thank you, Miss Camille, for everything so far. I wouldn't have made it this far without you, and I hope to continue relying on you in the future. I'm only doing this for the overtime pay, Miss Camille calmly said in a nonchalant manner. Leo smiled at her words because he knew that she wasn't telling the truth. After all, there was no way her overtime pay at the academy could beat what she could be earning as an S-rank adventurer. After returning to his room, Leo looked at Lilith, who had a frustrated look on her face, but it actually made her look cuter. So, what do you have to say for yourself? She suddenly said to him. What are you, my mother? Why do I have to tell you whenever I have to go somewhere? He sighed out loud. I was worried, okay? Do you have any idea how horrible it feels when you think that your first and potentially last friend in hundreds of years could be dead? She shouted at him. Hundreds of years? How old are you exactly? Leo asked her in a dazed voice. Never ask a lady about her age. Lilith immediately refused. Sorry, all right? I also didn't know I would be staying outside the city until Miss Camille told me. He apologized to her. So, where did you two disappear for 2 whole days? A healthy young man and a single mature woman disappearing for 2 days. It can only mean one thing. Lilith exclaimed. Whatever you're thinking, it's not it, okay? Leo immediately refuted. And he continued. We went outside the city walls to train. That's what we did. What? You went into the wilderness?
Yes.
Tell me about it. Quickly. She urged him in an excited voice. Let me go get some food first. I'm freaking starving. Leo made his way to the cafeteria and ate until his stomach was bloated. Once he returned to his room, he recalled his experience in the wilderness for Lilith. I see. Sounds like you had a lot of fun. Lilith said at the end. You think I had fun? It was a freaking terrifying and nerve-wracking experience. I was almost killed today, and I even witnessed humans being killed for the first time in my life. But you're fine, aren't you? So what's the big deal? And you should have known that humans are no different than animals. They will attack each other if given even the slightest chance. Lilith sneered. Is it just me, or does it sound like you don't like humans? Leo asked her. You're right, I don't like humans. Their arrogance knows no bounds, and they are also unreasonable when it comes to vampires. However, that doesn't mean I hate humans. I only dislike the majority of them. And if you're wondering how I feel about you, I can't hate you even if I want to, so you don't have to worry. What's that supposed to mean? I'm just joking. Of course, I like you. You're my one and only friend in this endless universe. Leo narrowed his eyes at her with a suspicious look. Seriously, I really like you. If I had a physical body, I would even let you hold my hands. That's how much I like you. Leo shook his head. Whatever, I'm going to sleep now. We can talk tomorrow when I have the energy to deal with your nonsense. And sure enough, he fell asleep almost immediately after closing his eyes. That night, he dreamed of Miss Camille killing the three adventurers repeatedly. Their bodies being skewered by a golden spear appeared in his dream again and again. Ah. Leo woke up screaming. Are you okay? Ah. He screamed again when he was spooked by Lilith, whose face was centimeters away from his own. Lilith gave him some distance and continued. You've been mumbling to yourself all night, and you're sweating like crazy. Did you have a nightmare? Something like that, I suppose, he said after calming down a little. After taking a quick shower, Leo rushed to his classroom because he was very close to being late. Meanwhile, Miss Camille was called by the headmaster. How is Leo's recovery? Any luck with his amnesia? The headmistress asked. Headmistress, Leo's. Just call me Eve when we're alone, Camille. The headmistress suddenly interrupted. And she continued, we're both S-rank adventurers. There's no need to be formal with each other. Miss Camille nodded. Then, Eve, Leo's strength is recovering at a good pace, but his memories are still gone. I see. Do you think he'll regain his strength before the tournament that's only half a year away? It's hard to tell, but I have confidence in him. I understand. I'll continue to leave him in your care, Camille. I trust that you will not disappoint me or this academy. If you need anything, the academy will assist in any way possible. If the academy cannot help you, I will try to do something, Eve said. Thank you, Eve. After leaving Eve's room, Miss Camille returned to the infirmary and started her day job as a nurse. At the end of the school day, Professor Jasmine said to her class, we will begin our wilderness training course next month. Make sure you're prepared by then.
What?
Leo mumbled in a dazed voice. When Jasmine saw his expression, she smiled and said, oh, right. I should explain this to you since you have amnesia. The wilderness training course is a month-long exercise where all students are required to enter the wilderness to train. The wilderness is a desolate land where monsters roam, and it is located outside the city. It's actually more of an examination than training because your performance will be graded, and based on the results, you could even be rewarded with an artifact among other valuable stuff. Oh, that's pretty neat. Leo couldn't help but feel a little excited about this training course. After class ended, Leo went to the infirmary to see if Miss Camille was still there.
She was.
Miss Camille, what are our plans for today? Are we going to the wilderness again? Or do we stay here and train in the training centers? He asked her. We'll return to the wilderness this weekend. Just train at the training center for now, she said. I understand. You can go ahead and start training by yourself. I'll be there in an hour. I have something to pick up for you. All right. Leo did not ask her about this item because he wanted to be surprised by her. He went ahead to the training center and started practicing the formless sword dance. An hour later, Miss Camille entered the room. Where's the item? Leo asked her when he couldn't see anything in her hands. Here. Miss Camille reached into her spatial storage and pulled out an entire mannequin from within, but this mannequin had 4 arms, and the body appeared to be made out of metal. After placing the mannequin on the floor, Miss Camille retrieved 4 wooden swords and had the mannequin wield them all at once. This is an advanced training puppet. It currently has the fighting capability of an E-rank adventurer, but it can be increased to that of a C-rank adventurer. The purpose of this training puppet is to increase your reaction speed and your experience fighting multiple people at once. I have to basically fight against 4 people at once? This isn't very fair. Life isn't fair, especially life out in the wilderness. Forget about 4. You can be ambushed by even 100 people at once out there. Leo swallowed nervously after imagining what she had just said. If you understand, get to work already. And in case you forgot, Your match with Cain is less than a week away. She reminded him about his upcoming fight with Cain. I get it, Leo said as he readied his sword. The following moment, Miss Camille activated the training puppet. Once activated, the training puppet immediately rushed at Leo and began his training. Damn it. No matter how much I train, it seems like I am never improving because I always get beat up, Leo muttered in pain as he laid on the floor with bruises all over his body after his training with a four-armed training puppet. That's because I keep on increasing the difficulty of your training. If it was easy, it wouldn't be training, Miss Camille said to him. By the way, Professor Jasmine mentioned about the wilderness training course in class today. Since we're going to the wilderness, there will surely be some casualties, right? Leo suddenly asked. Naturally. Every year, over 100 students die from this training. More than 100. That seems a little bit high. Won't the teachers be there with us? There will be teachers, but even then, the students tend to wander too far or become reckless during fights and get themselves killed, and there's only so much the teachers can do when there are thousands of students while there are only a few dozen teachers. I'm surprised the academy is allowed to do this, Leo mumbled. What are you talking about? The other schools also have similar exercises. It's common practice. This is just how this world works. Leo recalled all of the fantasy novels that he's read and sighed inwardly. I guess this is going to be one of those worlds where human life is not as valuable to society. It's not going to be easy getting used to this world. For the next few days, Leo would continue to train in the training center with the advanced training puppet. The day of his challenge with Cain grew closer and closer. Soon, it was the only thing being talked about in the academy. Leo's fight with Cain is tomorrow. I cannot wait. Have you made any bets yet? There's a lot of students gambling in this fight. I bet that Leo would win. Well, I think Cain will win this time. Leo has turned into a spineless coward after getting amnesia. There's no way that he could win against Cain in his current state. Hell, I doubt Leo even remembers how to fight. The school had its own gambling system for students who wanted to bet on matches. Leo eventually found out about the bet, and he went to take a look at his odds. And, to his surprise, the amount of students who favored Cain was actually 30% higher than those that supported him. In fact, most of the magic students in the academy had bet on Cain's victory. On the other hand, all of the normal students placed their bets on Leo, their idol. And since this is a magic school, it was only natural for there to be more magic students. So these guys think I will lose, huh? Well, I'm going to have to disappoint these people. Leo decided to place his own bet. I'll bet $33,000 that Leo will win. He used all of his earnings in the wilderness on the bet. You're betting on yourself? That's quite shameless, Lilith said to him. If I don't have confidence in myself, who will? He said with a smile. After betting all of his money, Leo went to find Miss Camille in the infirmary. There's no training today. Get plenty of rest and prepare for tomorrow. No training today? It feels awkward to rest since I've been doing this every day for a month now, Leo mumbled. I'm actually surprised that you managed to go through all of the training without giving up. The old Leo. He would always complain about training and even skip them. Did you also train the old Leos? He asked. No, I didn't. I only treated his injuries and gave him advice, she said. You're actually the first person I personally trained. Really? Leo was surprised to hear this. But you seem so good at it. I thought you had trained many people with your experience. I guess I learned a thing or two after spending so much time in this place. Leo pondered for a moment before asking, is there a reason why you decided to quit being an adventurer and become a nurse? Not really. I just got tired of being an adventurer, so I quit. And with my magic affinity, this kind of profession is more suitable. Can you even quit being an adventurer like how someone quits a normal job? I mean, since you're so powerful, wouldn't it be a major loss to the Adventurers Guild? If I were the guild master, I wouldn't want to lose someone like you, Leo said. Of course it wasn't easy to quit being an adventurer. As you said, since I am an S-rank adventurer, the Adventurers Guild was reluctant to let me go. Even the government had tried to stop me from quitting. I had to threaten them before I was allowed to quit. You threatened the government? Leo swallowed nervously. I guess the saying, the strong makes the rule, is plenty accurate in this world, he thought inwardly. HM?
Wait.
If you didn't train the old Leo, who did? Surely, he didn't become that powerful all by himself, right? Indeed, he had another teacher. She's also an S-rank adventurer, and she's the only S-rank adventurer in this world who cannot use magic. Seriously? That sounds badass. I wonder how the old Leo was able to get someone that powerful to teach him swordsmanship. Who knows? I have one more question before I stop bothering you. Do you think I will be able to defeat Cain in my current state? He suddenly asked. Probably, she answered in a nonchalant manner. Probably? He raised an eyebrow. You'll find out tomorrow, and my answer won't change anything. So, what's the point in asking me? You're right. I guess I just wanted some confidence boost. Oh, it's not that I am not confident in myself, but I would feel better to know that you also have confidence in me. Miss Camille narrowed her eyes for a moment before speaking. In your current state, you will have a pretty decent chance to defeat Cain. That is if you pay attention to the fight. Leo immediately smiled after hearing her words. Thank you. I won't disappoint you tomorrow, Leo said to her before leaving the infirmary. That night, Leo had trouble sleeping, but it was not because he was anxious about his fight with Cain. I can't sleep because my body is full of energy. I usually fall asleep quickly because I am exhausted after training, he sighed as he tried to force himself to sleep. The following day, as Leo made his way to class, the students that he passed said to him, Good luck, Leo. I know you'll beat that arrogant bully. I had bet all of my money on you, Leo. Don't disappoint me and my wallet. During homeroom, Professor Jasmine asked him, How are you feeling? You have a match with a magic student today, right? Yes, I do, and I feel great, he said with a smile. That's good to hear. I'll be there to watch your match, too. I'll try not to embarrass myself, he joked. Once class ended, just as Leo prepared to leave the classroom, he suddenly realized something. Jasmine, where am I supposed to fight Cain? We didn't agree on a specific location, he asked her in a slightly embarrassed voice. Jasmine smiled and said, All matches are held in the magic arena. Do you know how to get there? Actually, you can just follow your classmates because they'll be heading there as well. I understand. Leo realized a few moments later that he didn't need to ask Jasmine such questions because Cain was right outside his classroom the moment he stepped outside. I hope you're ready, Leo. Meet me at the magic arena in 2 hours. I would fight you right now, but we need to let the audience grow first, Cain said with a wide smirk on his face. All right. I will see you at the magic arena in 2 hours. Leo nodded. Once Cain left, the time of Leo's match with Cain spread throughout the academy like wildfire, and students began showing up at the magic arena way before the fight even began to acquire the good seats. Leo made his way to the magic arena an hour before his fight with Cain. Wow, there are a lot of students here. Leo was dumbstruck by the sea of people outside the magic arena, almost as though he was going to a worldwide sports event. There are rarely this many students who would show up for a fight between students. Only fights between witches would gather such attention. Lilith said to him from the sky, Make way. Leo is here. One of the students there shouted when he noticed Leo trying to get inside the magic arena. The students there made a path that led straight into the magic academy for him. Thanks. Leo quickly entered the magic arena. The magic arena was a massive, oval-shaped building that looked exactly like an indoor sports stadium. The interior of the building also resembled that of a stadium. The center of the building was a spacious field covered in fake grass, and surrounding it were tens of thousands of seats that were already filled by the students. There was a special area for teachers, and these seats were filled as well. This whole place seems unnecessarily big. Leo mumbled out loud after seeing the interior of the place. Really? Things can get really hectic in a fight between two magicians, especially if they're witches, Lilith said. Once it was almost time for his match with Cain, Leo approached the empty field. After taking a deep breath, Leo entered the field. It's Leo. I hope you lose.
Leo.
I love you. The arena exploded with noise the moment Leo entered the field, making him feel as though he was a celebrity or something. Some people cheered for him, but a majority of them did the opposite by cursing him. Leo could feel his heart throbbing like a war drum. This is the first time that he's ever been in such a spotlight. It felt surreal to him, almost like he was in a dream and a nightmare at the same time. Wow, there are even more people here. Aren't you popular? Lilith teased him as he walked to the center of the field, where Cain was already waiting. I'm impressed that you didn't just run away, Leo. Cain said with a grin on his face. Why would I run? According to some people, this isn't the first time that we've fought, and you've never won against me. I wish I could remember it, though. I bet the look of defeat on your face would look great. Fortunately for me, I will get to see such an expression again very soon when I beat you. Leo smiled back. The grin on Cain's face was wiped away by Leo's remarks, and his eyebrows furrowed into a deep frown. Suddenly, another figure walked into the field. When the students saw this person, they all expressed surprise. It's the headmistress. What's she doing here? I think she's going to personally oversee their match. Heavens! I don't think I have ever seen this before. Headmistress. Cain bowed to her in a respectful manner when he noticed her presence. Leo also greeted her. Good afternoon, headmistress. Hello, Leo. I will be the judge of this match if you don't mind. Eve nodded, but she seemed to only acknowledge Leo's greeting, which infuriated Cain, but there was nothing he could do but accept it. Of course not. I was worried that he might do something unfair, but now that you're here, I am relieved. Leo said as he pointed to Cain with his gaze. Why, you bastard? How dare you accuse me of foul play before the match? Cain shouted in a fury. Watch your language. Eve immediately rebuked him. I apologize, headmistress. Cain did not dare to argue with her and acted as obedient as a service dog. Leo found this quite amusing and laughed inwardly. Anyways, you probably don't remember anything about the magic arena or matches, right? Eve asked Leo a moment later. Sorry for the trouble. He nodded. Don't worry, I will explain everything to you. She smiled. First of all, there is a magic barrier around this field that protects your body from grievous harm. As long as you are in the field, you won't have to be worried about getting cut even if you're struck by a real sword, but you'll still feel the impact of the blow. The same goes for magic. You won't be blown to pieces, but you'll still feel the impact. Second, you are not allowed to use any kind of artifacts during the match. Potions are also forbidden during and before the match. If you are currently affected by any potions at this moment, you'll have to postpone your match. Are you currently under any potion effects? She asked him. No, I am not. Good, but I will still check your body before the match officially begins. No problem. He nodded. Eve continued speaking. For the next rule, even though it won't apply to you, you should still be aware of it. Magic spells above Tier 3 are not allowed to be used unless it is a special occasion that had been approved by me. Another rule you should keep in mind is that you are not allowed to purposefully strike your opponent in vital areas such as the eyes, heart, and crotch, or you will automatically lose the match. I understand. That's pretty much all of the rules. Once the match begins, the two of you will fight until either one of you loses consciousness or surrenders. Any questions? No, I don't have any. Good. Then let's begin the checkup. Give me your hand. Leo didn't ask any questions and gave her his hand. I'm going to collect some of your blood. This will prick a little, Eve said to him, before pressing some kind of device against his thumb. Leo suddenly felt something prick his finger for a split second. After collecting a few drops of his blood, Eve looked at the device for the results. Okay, you're cleared. She turned to Cain to collect his blood next, but she handed a new device to him so that he could do it himself. It was obvious to everyone there that Eve was favoring Leo, but nobody was surprised since it was already a well-known fact. Once Cain collected his blood and proved that he was not under the effects of any potions or drugs, Eve said to them, if you have any artifacts on your body, leave them with me now. Here you go. Leo handed her the only artifact on his body, the spatial ring, after taking out his training sword. Cain also handed his own spatial ring to her. This is your last chance. If you're caught with any artifact on your body after the match starts, you will automatically forfeit the match and will be punished for breaking the rules. Eve gave them one last warning. When neither Leo or Cain said anything, Eve nodded. Then we will begin the match. Stand in your circles and wait for my signal. Circle. Leo looked around until he saw a black circle about 20 meters away from his location. Once he was standing inside the circle, he was about 50 meters away from Cain. Seriously? We're this far away? At such a distance. I am at a clear disadvantage since I cannot cast magic. Leo cried inwardly after seeing this unfairness. Due to their distance, Cain could cast spells at him from a distance while he has to wait until he is close enough to strike with a sword. The arena became quiet while the audience held their breaths. "Good luck, Leo," Lilith said to him. A few moments later, Eve spoke in a loud voice that echoed throughout the arena without the help of a microphone. The match between Leo Magnus from Knight Class 2A and Cain Graham from Magic Class 2A will now begin. Once I blow this whistle, you may start the fight. After counting to 3, Eve blew the whistle. Cain immediately raised his hand and pointed his palms at Leo, and he started chanting in a low voice. Meanwhile, Leo started running towards Cain at his full speed, which actually looked slow in the eyes of the audience because they were used to seeing Leo move at a much quicker speed. "Look at how slow he's moving. I guess he hasn't fully recovered from his injuries yet," the students said to each other. Meanwhile, Leo was thinking of something similar. What's he waiting for? Why hasn't he cast any spells yet? Leo wondered to himself when Cain hadn't attacked him even when he closed their distance by half. Miss Camille would have fired over 10 magic spells at me by now. What is he thinking? Unbeknownst to Leo, unlike Miss Camille who can cast magic in a split second and without the need of chanting, Cain must chant his spells and gather his mana, which requires time, especially since he was preparing for a Tier 3 spell right off the bat. Once Leo was almost in front of him, Cain finally finished his spell and shouted, "Water barrage." "Water magic?" Leo immediately stopped his movements to prepare for the incoming attack. Over a dozen water balls the size of a watermelon suddenly appeared before Cain and started flying at Leo. "Tisses." Leo was shocked when he saw these water balls coming at him. They're so freaking slow. Compared to the speed of Miss Camille throwing her magic spears, these water balls paled in comparison, and Leo was able to keep track of them with his bare eyes. After dodging the first one, he immediately dodged the second, then a third. A few moments later, once he'd dodged all of the water balls, Leo did not immediately move. Instead, he stared at Cain with wide eyes. This guy, he's weak as fuck compared to Miss Camille. When he realized this, Leo started laughing. "To think I had been nervous about this fight, and even a little scared of you. How dare you mess with my feelings?" He started moving towards Cain again. "He dodged all of my water barrage so easily. I thought he was injured." Cain cried inwardly, feeling a sense of dread as Leo closed their distance even more.
"Shit.
I don't have time to prepare another Tier 3 spell. I can only cast Tier 1 spells." Cain pointed his finger at Leo and hastily shouted, "Water bullet." A small water orb flew at Leo, who was only a few steps away from reaching Cain. Leo twisted his body right before the water bullet reached him, narrowly dodging it. Impossible. He dodged such a close attack. Cain was shocked. Water bullet is one of the fastest magic spells out there. To dodge it at such a close distance was near impossible unless Leo anticipated it before Cain released the magic spell. Unbeknownst to Cain, Leo had subconsciously reacted when he saw Cain's hand gesture because it was the same as his black bullet, something he has done over 1,000 times by now. After dodging Cain's water bullet, Leo took the final step he needed to reach Cain with his sword. With his hand tightly gripping the sword, Leo performed one of the most difficult combos for the formless sword dance that he knew, striking Cain all over his body with 11 consecutive and connecting strikes in a quick session, sending him flying like a broken ragdoll.
Cain coughed up blood after falling down.
He could feel that some of his bones had broken from Leo's attack just now. However, before he could even get back up, Leo was in front of him again with his sword already raised. Wait. Cain subconsciously raised his arms above his head in a defensive manner, but a leg came flying at his chest when he was expecting Leo to strike down with his sword.
Ack.
Pain immediately spread throughout Cain's body, who felt like his chest had been crushed by a boulder, and he coughed up even more blood. "I am not done yet." Leo continued to strike Cain without mercy, releasing all of his built-up stress from training and everything else at once. The audience were dead silent at this moment. They were all shocked by the brutal beatdown of Cain, and some of them couldn't even believe their eyes. That Leo. Has he always been this vicious? I don't think so. Leo usually finishes his fight with a single elegant hit, after all. My God, I have never seen such a brutal beating before. Why aren't they stopping the match? It's clear that Leo is the victor. Cain doesn't seem unconscious yet. Leo's attacks are too weak to knock him unconscious. Honestly, I would rather he knock me out than to suffer such an embarrassing beating. Miss Camille rubbed her temples in a stressed manner after seeing Leo's performance. She knew from the start that Leo would be able to defeat Cain without any problems after seeing his performance during training, but she didn't expect such an outcome. Meanwhile, Leo continued to relieve his stress by beating Cain. This one is for trying to bully me. This one is for all your shit talks. This one is for the training I had to endure just to beat you. This one is for all the stress I experienced because of you. This one is for having such an ugly face. This one is for having an ugly personality. This one is for all the people that you have bullied in the past. Leo launched countless strikes at Cain, tossing his body around the field like some kind of stress-relieving puppet. Once he was satisfied, Leo stopped attacking and wiped the sweat from his face. Phew, that felt great, he exclaimed. However, when he finally got a good look at Cain's condition, he became worried that he might have gone overboard and killed Cain. He turned to look at Eve, who was standing not far away with a dazed expression on her face. She eventually snapped out of her daze and blew on the whistle again, signaling the end of the match. W winner, Leo Magnus, she announced in a stiff voice. The entire arena remained silent even though they should be cheering, mostly because they were terrified and speechless by the beatdown. However, it wasn't as though Leo displayed unfathomable power, nor did he do anything really special. It just was the sheer brutality of the fight that made these students speechless. My God, Leo, you really went hard on him. I doubt even his parents would recognize him if they saw his face now, Lilith said as she floated above Cain, who was still conscious, but was in no condition to move. After the fight ended, Miss Camille entered the field and proceeded to heal Cain's injuries using her light magic. Within moments, Cain, who looked inhuman with a disfigured face, returned to looking like a normal human being, but his face was still bruised black and blue.
Leo.
You son of a bitch. How dare you humiliate me like this? I will never forgive you. Cain roared in anger once he could finally talk again. Oh? You'll never forgive me? Then how about another match, huh? We can even do it right now if you want. Leo beckoned him in a provocative manner. Cain gritted his teeth in frustration, but he didn't dare to accept Leo's challenge, as he was still mentally scarred by the beatdown. If you dare to come near me again, I will not show you any mercy the next time, Leo said after seeing Cain's nervousness. The students were dumbfounded by Leo's words that implied he was being merciful during the beatdown. How can someone be so shameless? What do I do now? Can I leave yet? Leo asked Miss Camille. The match is already over. Unless you have another match, you can leave, she said. All right. Then I will see you at the training center later. Miss Camille nodded. Then I will see you later. Leo walked out of the field in a prideful manner. After leaving the arena, he went straight to the training center. Ha ha ha. Did you see that, Lilith?
Cain was powerless before me.
I have never felt so powerful before, Leo exclaimed as he held his sword high in the air with one hand. What kind of pose is that? You look so weird. Lilith shook her head. And she continued, also, Cain is just a weakling. You're being way too proud for such a small achievement. You don't understand anything, Lilith. I have always been bullied in my old world. Although there were times when I would win, it was never such an overwhelming victory. Also, Cain was using magic. I had defeated a mage with nothing but a sword. Of course, I would be proud. If you could use magic, that match would have been over in seconds, though. Speaking of magic, why did it take him so long to cast his first magic spell? He suddenly asked. Unlike you, who can cast magic on his first try without chanting, normal people need to chant their magic. Huh? This is my first time hearing about this. I have never heard Miss Camille chant either. Of course not. She's an S-rank adventurer. Anyways, most people chant because it helps them visualize the magic circle and gather mana. Once you're skilled enough with a certain magic spell, you will naturally be able to cast them without chanting. No wonder. I found it weird that Cain had shouted his magic spell before using it. I thought he was an idiot who has a habit of revealing his spell before using it. Leo shrugged. Those who can silent cast have a huge advantage because of that exact reason. It gives your opponent almost no time to react to it because they cannot hear the chant. However, the amount of people who can silent cast magic spells are very rare, even amongst geniuses. Wait a moment. If people cannot tell what magic I am using if I don't chant, doesn't that mean I can use mana drain in public as long as I silent cast it? Leo asked. That is true, but it is also risky, because there are magic spells out there that can let people see the flow of mana inside people's bodies, so they will be able to see you absorbing your target's mana. I wouldn't risk it if I were you. I won't. Miss Camille arrived at the training center about 10 minutes after Leo. Do you remember your promise, Miss Camille? Leo approached her with a wide grin on his face. The Tier 2 magic spell, right? I already have it prepared for you. She handed him a piece of paper with a Tier 2 magic circle on it. Leo took the paper and asked without looking at it just yet, what kind of magic spell is this? It's a magic spell called Void Spear. It can teleport a certain distance so you can catch people off guard. Void Spear? Is it similar to your light spears? He asked. Yes, sort of. Leo pondered for a moment and spoke. Do every affinity have their own variation of a certain magic spell? For example, Cain used Water Bullet today, which is basically Black Bullet but with a different magic affinity. That is true for most of the low-tier magic spells. The true difference comes at the Tier 5 magic spells and above. However, even the low-tier magic spells will have some differences. Miss Camille said. For example, your Void Spear can pierce the void and teleport, but my Spear of Light cannot do such a thing. I see. Anyways, thank you for teaching me this magic spell. Leo proceeded to memorize the magic circle. You have learned the magic spell. Void Spear. Void Spear. Affinity. Dark. Tier 2. Mana. 200. Master Rank. F. It costs 200 mana to use? Leo was a little shocked when he saw the mana required to use this magic spell. No wonder why Lilith was reluctant to teach me Tier 2 magic spells. This is a tremendous increase in mana usage compared to Tier 1 magic spells. With my current mana, I will enter mana fatigue with just 5 casts. If it weren't for the magic shop, I would only be able to cast 2 of them. He cried inwardly. Can I try it out? He asked Miss Camille after learning the magic spell. Sure. Leo distanced himself from the mana-absorbing dummy. Once he was around 20 meters away, he used Void Spear, creating a spear of dark energy in his grasp. He can already silent spellcast a Tier 2 magic spell on his first try right after learning it. Miss Camille sighed inwardly after being exposed to his tremendous magic talents once again. After getting his aim, Leo flicked his arms and hurled the Void Spear at the dummy. The Void Spear traveled in the air for about 5 meters before suddenly disappearing and reappearing 10 meters away, striking the mana-absorbing dummy a split second later. After absorbing the Void Spear, the mana-absorbing dummy pulsated with a dark orange light. The magic power of his Void Spear is almost 3,000. And that's without overcharging it. He could definitely reach 3,500, perhaps even 4,000, if he overcharged it. That's an insane amount of magic power for a mere Tier 2 magic spell. Lilith cried inwardly after seeing the results. Normally, only Tier 3 magic spells with a high mastery rank would be able to produce magic power above 3,000, hence why it was so surprising for Leo to achieve that kind of power with a Tier 2 magic spell that he'd just learned. Miss Camille had a profound frown on her face after witnessing Leo's prowess. His magic talent is abnormally high, almost frighteningly so. Now that he's acquired a decent amount of experience with the sword, it's probably time to focus on his magic talents, she thought to herself. After spending a few hours training in the training center, Leo managed to increase his mastery rank for Black Bullet to C, and his total mana just broke through 1,000.
Leo?
Miss Camille called for him after his training ended. Yes. Starting today, we'll be focusing on training your magic. Seriously? Leo couldn't believe his ears. I have to admit that you have tremendous magic talents. It would be a waste to not train it properly. However, this does not mean you can stop training with the sword. Do you understand? I understand. There's no way I would just give up on swordsmanship after putting so much effort into it. I am going to keep improving myself until I can defeat Chrome with nothing but my sword, Leo said in a motivated voice.
Good.
Also, before we begin your training tomorrow, I want you to find another reason to grow stronger. Huh? Leo raised his eyebrows in a questioning manner. Everybody should have a reason for getting stronger. Your match with Cain was what pushed you to grow stronger. However, now that you have defeated Cain, you will need another motive, she explained. If you just train just for the heck of it, you will not progress as fast. Leo pondered for a moment before nodding his head. All right, I will try to find a motive. However, it sounds easier said than done. Take your time. You don't need to find a reason by tomorrow. Rushing it would also have a negative effect. Leo made his way back to the old dorm shortly after. Leo, there's somebody following you. Lilith suddenly warned him. This feels nostalgic. Do you know who it is? He asked. Yes, it's... Before Lilith could even respond, a familiar voice resounded. Stop right there. Leo turned around to see a petite figure stepping out of the shadow and approaching his direction. It's you again?
What do you want now?
I have already proved to you that I am not a zombie, or whatever you thought I was. Leo frowned after recognizing his stalker as Nina Wraith. Yes, I am well aware. Since that day, I have been wondering why I sensed dark magic from you even though you're not an undead, nor can you use magic. After seeing you at the magic arena today, the dark magic emitting from your body grew many folds compared to before. And now, you reek of dark magic. Leo, you have a dark magic affinity just like me, don't you? Nina Wraith narrowed her eyes at him, her gaze as sharp as the tip of knives. Leo felt like he was naked before her gaze, but his expression didn't change. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have a dark magic affinity? That's nonsense. If I could use magic, I wouldn't be fighting with a sword, he sneered. You can lie to me all you want, but I can see the truth. Although your mana was too weak for me to notice it before, I can see it very clearly now, the mana flowing through your veins. And judging by the mana fluctuation around you right now, you were just practicing with dark magic, weren't you? Leo swallowed nervously after hearing Nina's words that struck gold. What the heck is up with this girl? Why does she know so much? He cried inwardly. Leo, this little girl has spiritual eyes. She can see the other's mana flow with just a glance, and since you have the same magic affinity as her, she can see you even more clearly. Lilith said to him, Why are you hiding the fact that you can use magic? According to the rumors that I have heard, you have never used magic since you came to the academy, so everyone believes that you're a cripple. Nina suddenly asked him, believing that he had been hiding about his magic talents for some reason. Why would I be a cripple just because I cannot use magic? The rest of my body functions properly. Nina sneered and spoke in a cold voice. If you cannot use magic in a world of magic, what else besides a cripple could you be? You say some pretty harsh things. It's the truth, and it's how society sees people who cannot use magic. Whatever. I don't have the time or energy to deal with your nonsense. I'm going home to sleep. Leo started walking away. To his surprise, Nina Wraith didn't follow him. She merely watched as his back disappeared from her view. For what reasons are you hiding such tremendous magic talent? Nina mumbled in a low voice after Leo left, her eyes filled with frustration and confusion. Although the other students and teachers cannot see what Nina Wraith sees from Leo, including Miss Camille and Headmistress Eve, in Nina Wraith's eyes, Leo is constantly surrounded by an overwhelming dark aura that sends chills down her back whenever she looks at him. My dark magic affinity pales in comparison to his dark magic affinity, yet he's acting as though it doesn't even exist. And to think there was another student besides myself with a dark magic affinity in this school this entire time. How frustrating. After stomping the ground a few times like a child in a tantrum, Nina Wraith disappeared into the shadows. The following day, Nina Wraith went to the infirmary. What do you need from the infirmary so early? The day has just started. Miss Camille asked her. Nina closed the door behind her and stared at Miss Camille with a serious expression on her face. This is about the request I accepted from you before. Nina spoke after a moment of silence. Miss Camille immediately narrowed her eyes and stared back at Nina with a threatening gaze. I thought we had an agreement to never speak of this again after we finished our business. Miss Camille spoke in a cold voice. No, I agreed to not tell anyone else about our deal. I never said anything about forgetting it. Nina's face remained as tranquil as a still lake despite being pressured by Miss Camille's gaze. And she continued to speak. The reason you had me check on Leo was because you suspected that he could use magic, specifically dark magic, right? Why else would you choose me out of everyone in the academies? Miss Camille was dumbfounded by Nina's words. After a moment of silence, Miss Camille sighed. Since you already know, there's no point in trying to hide it from you. I already knew that Leo had a magic affinity for dark magic, so that is not the reason I asked you to do that job. That's all I am going to tell you. What are you going to do with this information? Tell the entire school that Leo can actually use magic. Why would I do something like that? Do I look like someone who would enjoy doing something that dull? I don't even gain anything from exposing Leo. Then why are you asking about Leo? Why do you care about him? Miss Camille asked. Because I am frustrated that he's throwing away such tremendous talents. His dark magic affinity should be at least S rank, so why is he playing around with a sword when he could be studying dark magic with me? Miss Camille's eyes widened slightly after hearing Nina's words. Are you jealous?
She decided to ask.
That's nonsense. I have never been jealous of anybody. Nina immediately refuted such claims. That's only because you had no reason to be jealous. You're the only student with a dark magic affinity in this entire academy, so you had nobody to compare to. However, now that you realize there is actually another person with a dark magic affinity in this school who even has more talent than you, you're experiencing jealousy for the first time, and you're worried that he might steal away your uniqueness within the academy. Shut up. I am not jealous. Nina shouted, her eyes starting to get moist. Seriously? That infamous Nina Wraith, who is known for lacking emotions, is on the verge of crying over something like this. Miss Camille was dumbfounded by Nina's reaction. I get it. You're not jealous, Miss Camille sighed. Anyways, if you're not jealous, why do you care so much about Leo? I want him to help me with my experiments. There are some things that I cannot achieve with my A-rank dark magic affinity, so I want him to do it for me, she said, revealing her true reason for approaching Leo. You're really close with Leo, aren't you, Miss Camille? Can you convince him to help me? I will do anything you want. I will even return the necklace of the dead to you. Miss Camille rubbed her eyes and sighed. Sorry, but I cannot convince him to do anything. I am only helping him to recover his strength and treating his amnesia. If you want him to help you, then you'll have to ask him yourself. Then, is there anything that Leo wants? I will give him that thing in exchange for his help. I have no idea. You'll have to ask him about that by yourself as well. Nina gritted her teeth and tightened her small hands into a fist. Come to the training center today after school hours. Leo will be there. Whether you can convince him or not will depend on you. And you better not mention our business to him, because I will kill you if you do. Nina didn't say anything and left the infirmary shortly after. Witch of necromancy. What a pain in the ass, Miss Camille sighed afterward. At the end of the school day, Leo went straight to the training center. While waiting for Miss Camille to show up, Leo trained his swordsmanship.
Leo.
Miss Camille's voice suddenly resounded when Leo was engrossed with his training. Leo stopped swinging the sword and turned to look at her, and his eyes widened with surprise when he saw that she wasn't alone. And Miss Camille? What is that little girl doing here? Leo pointed at Nina Wraith, who was following her from behind. This is Nina Wraith, and she has something to say to you, Miss Camille said. She looked at Nina and nodded slightly, gesturing for her to do her thing. Nina Wraith took a deep breath and approached Leo, who swallowed nervously after sensing the serious aura around her. What does she want now? He silently hoped to himself that she wasn't there to cause trouble. Leo, I want to buy your magic talents. Help me with my experiments, and I will do whatever you want in return.
Huh?
You want to buy my magic talents?
What kind of nonsense is that?
I refuse. Furthermore, I don't have any magic talents. You can stop lying to me. I know you have a dark magic affinity. I have what's called spiritual eyes, and it allows me to see your mana flow, so you're wasting your efforts. Miss Camille also confirmed it. Leo looked at Miss Camille with a surprised look on his face. It's true. I told her, but that doesn't matter since she can still see your mana. There's no way to hide your magic from someone who has spiritual eyes unless you have a certain expensive artifact. Fortunately, people that have spiritual eyes are incredibly rare, so you don't need to worry about being seen by many people. Miss Camille said. Nina Wraith then said, Leo, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. You can either assist me and I owe you a favor, or I can threaten to expose your secret. If you don't want either to happen, you will have to kill me. Leo frowned and pondered in silence. Before I answer you, I want to ask you a question. There are plenty of people out there that are stronger, more knowledgeable, and more capable than me. Hell, there's someone like that beside you right now. So why do you want my help so badly? Because this is something that can only be done by those with a dark magic affinity, and my magic affinity is not strong enough to achieve my goals. People with dark magic affinity are very rare, much less someone with your talents. You have an S-rank dark magic affinity, right? That's right, he nodded. Then you're the only one who can help me. What kind of help do you want from someone like me? I want you to help me resurrect someone, Nina said in a calm but chilling voice. What did you just say? You want me to resurrect the dead? Is that even possible? Leo was dumbfounded to hear such a ridiculous thing, but since this was a magic world, it might not be as ridiculous as it sounded. Miss Camille frowned and said, Nina, resurrection magic is exceptionally dangerous and also forbidden. As a counselor of the school and a retired adventurer, I cannot ignore such a thing. I don't care. You can expel me from the school if you want, but I won't stop trying to resurrect my mother, Nina Wraith said in a cold voice. Miss Camille turned silent. If I recall correctly, Nina came to this city with her mother 10 years ago, but her mother was attacked by a monster on their way here. Although the attack didn't immediately kill her, the monster that attacked her was highly venomous. Her mother died before they could even reach the city. Even if you successfully resurrect your mother, she will not be the same person you know. She will only be a soulless body that won't even know how to move. She won't remember you, nor will she act like your mother. Do you still want a mother like that? Miss Camille asked her a moment later. We won't know until we try, Nina stubbornly said. No, we know. Nobody has ever been able to successfully resurrect a human. Even vampires that are known as creators of dark magic cannot resurrect humans. Nina Wraith gritted her teeth and said, I don't care. I am going to do it no matter what you say to me. Leo, it's time for you to decide. Will you help me or not? If you help me, I will give you anything you want. My body, my heart, my soul. Anything. Leo was speechless. He's never been pressured in such a manner before. Suddenly,
Ding.
You have received a special quest from the magic system. Quest: Help Nina Wraith. Description: Help Nina Wraith resurrect her mother. Time limit: Not applicable. Reward: 100,000 magic experience, 500 magic point. Warning: Failure to do so will result in a penalty. Leo's eyes widened with shock after seeing this special quest given to him by the system. Are you serious? Why does the system want me to help her? I will even be penalized if I don't help her. That's outrageous. The fact the system could punish him for not doing the quest terrified Leo. He has always thought that the system was there to help him, yet he was basically being threatened to do something at this moment. I always had a feeling that there could be punishments for failing the quests, but I didn't want to test out such a theory. What kind of penalty will I have to suffer if I fail this quest? It must be pretty bad if the system is giving me a warning. After a moment of silence, Leo sighed. All right. I will help you. Really? Nina Wraith's eyes flickered with hope. Leo, do you have any idea what you're getting yourself into? Even if you feel bad for her, you must not mess with resurrection magic. If the Adventurers Guild or the government finds out about it, you could be punished with death. Miss Camille immediately tried to convince him to change his mind. Leo showed her a bittersweet smile. He didn't know what to say to her. What was he supposed to say? That he was basically being threatened to help her by a system that can only be seen by him? I mean, if I don't help her, she'll expose my secret to everyone, right? Leo eventually found an excuse, albeit a pretty bad one. So, what if she'll expose the fact that you can use magic? We have plenty of ways and excuses around that. However, you won't be able to bullshit your way out of messing with resurrection magic. Miss Camille, you told me that necromancy magic is allowed in this world, so why is resurrection magic not allowed? Aren't they basically the same thing? I mean, the concept is pretty similar, he asked her. Necromancy magic and resurrection magic are two completely different things. You summon the dead with necromancy, but with resurrection, you revive the dead. Even if you say that, I'm sorry, Miss Camille, but I want to help her. I doubt I will even be able to actually use resurrection magic. After all, I can barely use Tier 2 magic spells. If you help her with resurrection magic, then I will stop training or helping you. You promised that you would never betray me. You're already breaking your own promise. That's not fair. I am definitely not betraying you. I just want to help this little girl who is clearly mentally unstable. If I don't help her, God knows what she might do to herself or others. I've had enough of this nonsense. Go help her if you want. Just remember that if you help her, we're through. You and me. Miss Camille turned around and left the room in anger. Leo was speechless. The end of their situation seemed almost like a breakup between lovers. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen, Nina said in an apologetic voice afterward. Forget it. I have no choice but to help you anyway. He shook his head. Anyways, tell me more about this resurrection magic. Just so you know, I can only use Tier 2 dark magic right now, so it might be a long way before I can use such powerful-sounding magic. Resurrection magic is a special kind of magic. It can be used by anyone as long as they meet two requirements: having a strong enough dark magic affinity and having enough mana to cast it. Magic spells like this are often referred to as Tier 0 magic. Nina explained. Tier 0 magic, huh? Although I might meet the first requirement, the second requirement is definitely a no-go. I won't have enough mana,
he said.
That's fine. I have a way around your mana, but just in case, how much mana do you have right now? Around 1000, he said.
What? That little?
Even though you have such a strong mana flow. Nina reacted with bafflement. I told you. I've only started using magic a month ago. He shrugged. Damn it. You'll need at least 9,000 magic for this to work. Do we really need to do this now? We can do it once I have enough mana. That will take too long. Even with your talents, you'll need at least 1 year to acquire that much mana. Leo pondered for a moment before speaking. Give me a month or two. I'll be able to get 9,000 mana. Seriously? How are you going to do that? Nina doubted him. I have my ways. If you don't believe me, we can just drop this whole thing. Fine, I will wait. One more thing. Leo suddenly said. Because of you, Miss Camille is angry at me and will even stop helping me. She was supposed to help me train my magic. How are you going to compensate me for this? If it's just magic training, I can help you with that, Nina said in a calm voice. You're barely older than I am, and you're just a student like me, he exclaimed. So what? I am still a witch, and one of the top students in this academy. Although I might not be as powerful as someone like Miss Camille, I am very capable with magic. And knowing Miss Camille, she will eventually calm down. Unbelievable. Leo rubbed his eyes in a stressed manner. Miss Camille has been a huge help to him since the beginning, and she was not wrong in trying to stop him from messing with dangerous magic, so he felt very guilty for not listening to her. However, it was not as though he had a choice due to the system that basically forced him into helping Nina. If this Miss Camille is anything like the one back in my old world, things will eventually work out like usual. I often argue and get into fights with the Miss Camille of my world, but we always fix things and end up going back to normal, he sighed inwardly. Meanwhile, Lilith watched the whole drama from above with a profound expression on her face. Resurrection magic, huh? Will he be able to pull it off? This will be exciting. She smiled inwardly. After leaving the training center, Miss Camille went straight home with an angry frown on her face the entire way. Once she got home, She went to one of her cabins and retrieved a bottle of alcohol. That ungrateful little brat. How dare he choose that little girl over me after all that I have done for him? She popped the bottle cap and started drinking mouthfuls of the alcohol, quickly getting drunk. Damn you, Leo. You'll regret this. She stopped drinking for a moment to curse him before putting the bottle back into her mouth. Do you want to start training now? Nina asked Leo sometime after Miss Camille left. No, I am not in the mood to train today. I still have a lot of things to think about. See ya. Leo left the training center shortly after. After returning to his room, Leo looked at Lilith and asked her, "What do you think about this whole resurrection situation?" "Resurrection magic isn't something humans should mess around with," she said. "To tell you the truth, I don't understand why you would help that little girl. Is she, who has only caused trouble for you, more important to you than Miss Camille?"
What?
Of course not. However, I have my own reasons. Even if I don't want to help her, I am being forced to help her.
Who's forcing you?
Nina? Even if she exposes your secret to the world, what about it? It's not that strange for Leo, who has disappeared for 3 months, to suddenly be able to start using magic. A lot can happen in 3 months, you know. And there are many phenomena that occur in this world that nobody can explain. Your existence is one of them, Leo. I couldn't care less about Nina's threats. Something else is forcing me to help her.
He sighed.
Something? What is? She asked. Leo did not immediately respond and pondered. Since nobody besides myself can see or hear her, it should be fine if I tell her about the magic system, hopefully. He eventually came to a decision. What I am about to tell you is going to sound crazy, but it's true, Leo said with a serious expression on his face. Let's hear it. Lilith smiled. Leo took a deep breath and proceeded to tell Lilith about the magic system that has been assisting him from the shadows. Lilith had a dumbfounded look on her face by the end of it. So, you're telling me that you have this, system that only you can see and interact with, and it's forcing you to help Nina or you will be punished? She asked him for confirmation. That's right. It sounds crazy, right? I mean, of course, but it's not that ridiculous if I think about it. After all, you came to this world from another world. Furthermore, this system sounds like advanced technology, which already exists in this world to a certain extent. Huh? What do you mean? Leo asked with interest. There is something called a brain chip in this world, where you can implant some kind of chip into your brain, which allows you to see things that only people with a brain chip can see. What kind of sci-fi bullshit is that? I thought this was a magic world. It is a common trope for worlds with magic to have weak technology. This place is the complete opposite, he exclaimed. I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's just how it works here, I guess. Lilith shrugged. Hey, Leo, why don't you just tell Miss Camille about the magic system? This way, she won't be angry at you for helping Nina. I'm sure she'll understand. Or, do you not trust her enough to tell her, because you're worried that she might tell everyone? She suddenly suggested.
What?
Of course I trust her. However, I don't want to sound crazy, and I'm not sure that she'll believe me. You won't know until you try, Lilith said. After pondering for some time, Leo said, All right, I will tell her. It'll be more convenient for me if she knew about it since she could help me if I ever need it. That's what I'm talking about. Lilith smiled. By the way, regarding resurrection magic, although no humans have ever succeeded in resurrecting another human, vampires have been able to do so before, so Miss Camille was wrong about that.
What?
Seriously? Yes, but only certain vampires with a certain bloodline could do so, and they're some of the most powerful vampires out there. Is that so? Anyways, tell me more about this magic system, Leo. It sounds so interesting. Lilith suddenly said. I refuse. And I am going to look for Miss Camille now to tell her about the magic system. Leo quickly left his room and searched for Miss Camille. She should have went home after she left, right? He decided to visit her home since that was the only place he could think of. After signing out at the gate, Leo took a taxi to Miss Camille's home. Fortunately, he'd seen and memorized her address when she became his sponsor. About 15 minutes later, Leo paid the taxi fee and approached Miss Camille's address. Seriously? She lives in this mansion. Leo was stumped when he arrived at a massive building. He double-checked the address of the place just in case he messed up. This is definitely the address Miss Camille had written down. After taking a deep breath, Leo pressed the doorbell outside the gate. A few rings later, an unfamiliar female voice resounded. "This is the Light family's household. Who am I speaking to?" "Hello, I am not sure if I am in the right place, but I am Leo, and I am looking for Miss Camille." He spoke through the microphone near the doorbell. "Leo's?" The female voice repeated, sounding a little annoyed. "She sounds annoyed, or maybe it's just me," he thought to himself. "I will open the gates." Wait a moment. A few seconds later, the gates opened. After entering the property, Leo walked to the mansion in the distance. Before he could even reach the door, someone opened it and walked out. This person was an elegant young lady wearing a maid outfit. She had short black hair and a pair of round, blue eyes that glistened like a jewel. "Who is this girl?" Leo didn't recognize her. "I am Lady Camille's maid, Sophie." "What business do you have with my ladies?" "Whoa. Miss Camille has a maid? Seriously?" Leo felt a little envious. "I have something important to tell her. Can't you just tell her tomorrow?" "I can, but I don't want to. I think it would be better for the both of us if I told her about it as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I don't think Miss Camille will be able to hear what you have to say today."
What?
"Why not? I know she's angry at me, and that's completely my fault. But that's exactly why I need to speak with her as soon as possible. That's not why she won't be able to speak to you." "Then what's the reasons?" he asked. Sophie remained silent for a moment before speaking. "I think it would be better for you to see for yourself. Follow me." Leo had an uneasy feeling in his guts about this, but he followed her into the building regardless. Shortly after entering the mansion, Leo could hear some muffled noises coming from the second floor. As he got closer, he could hear someone shouting at a low volume, "How dare he betray me?" Was that Miss Camille? He swallowed nervously. Sometime later, Sophie stopped in front of a door and turned to look at Leo. "Miss Camille is behind these doors. However, don't open the door until I tell you to do so." After saying these words, she proceeded to take a few steps away from the door. "You may open the door now, but you should watch your head." Leo raised an eyebrow at her words. After taking a deep breath, Leo slowly opened the doors. Whoosh! Before he could even see the inside of the room, something flew right past his face before smashing the wall behind him. Leo turned to look behind him in a stiff manner. "What the hell? A bottle of wine," he said inwardly after seeing the bottle of smashed wine on the floor and the wall that had been stained in red. He quickly opened the door to see the situation inside, and to his absolute shock, it was a complete mess inside. Most of the furniture were turned, and there were glass bottles all over the floor and table. The place looked like it had been ransacked by robbers. However, the most shocking of all was the person inside. Miss Camille, who always appeared dignified and noble, was in an absolute mess. What the hell happened to her? He turned to look at Sophie for answers, who was staring at him with a look of disdain. "I am also wondering that." "Maybe you have an idea, Leo," she answered in a sarcastic voice, leaving him speechless. Is she seriously acting like this because of what happened today? Isn't she overreacting a bit? She's acting like someone had killed her parents. He cried inwardly. Why is she acting like this? I know I angered her a little today, but this is just too much. Leo quickly closed the door and looked at Sophie. What do you know about Lady Camille? She usually keeps her emotions bottled up, but because of that, when she gets too emotional, all of her suppressed emotions will burst out like a volcano. Also, she's not very good with alcohol, which makes things worse, Sophie explained. And she continued, thanks to you, I will have a lot of cleaning up to do later. Sorry. How long will she remain like that? I'll help you clean up later since I am at fault as well. She's usually done within an hour. She may get drunk easily, but she also recovers quickly. I see. Is there anything I can do until she calms down? No, there isn't. I still have some work to do, so I will leave you alone. You'll know she has calmed down when it becomes silent for a whole minute. You're just going to leave me here? What if she comes out? He asked. She won't leave her room until she's done, so you don't need to worry. If you're that worried, you can just wait downstairs in one of the guest rooms. You sound very used to this. By the way, do you mind if I take a look around the building? I've never been to such a luxurious building before. If you promise to not touch anything, then I won't mind. If you dare to steal even a piece of paper from this place, I will have you executed, so beware. Also, do not go into any rooms that have their doors closed, she said in a cold voice. Executed? Leo swallowed nervously. Once Sophie disappeared from the scene, Leo started wandering the house. Compared to my Miss Camille's little apartment, this place is like a freaking castle. Aren't parallel worlds supposed to have very minor differences between each other? This place is on a whole other level, he thought to himself. And even though he was alone, Leo had a feeling that someone was constantly watching him. It's probably Sophie. I knew she wouldn't let a stranger like me wander around so freely. He smiled inwardly, not feeling worried at all. After wandering around the building, Leo made his way back to the room with Miss Camille. It has only been half an hour since he left, but he wanted to check up on her. Leo pressed his ears against the door to make sure it was absolutely silent. When he couldn't hear anything for a whole minute, Leo resolved himself and opened the door slightly to peek inside. Sorry, I made a mess. I'll help you clean up. Miss Camille's voice resounded, mistaking Leo as Sophie. Leo didn't say anything and peeked his head through the door to look inside the room. He could see Miss Camille lying on the couch with her eyes closed. Say something, Sophie. Miss Camille opened her eyes and turned to look at the door when nobody responded to her. Her eyes widened with shock and disbelief when she saw Leo's face. However, she didn't immediately recognize him. After taking a moment to recognize Leo, she jumped up and shouted with a flushed face, Leo? What are you doing here? Hey, I wanted to speak with you, so I came here, he said in an awkward voice. You couldn't wait until tomorrow to tell me. How do you even know where I live? I saw your address when you helped me register at the Adventurers Guild. Miss Camille turned silent for a moment before speaking in a low voice. Leo, how long have you been here? I just got here, Leo decided to lie. You're lying? Miss Camille didn't believe him. Really? I just got here. I am not lying. And I'm going to kill you. Miss Camille's eyes flickered with killing intent, and she even summoned her spears. Lady Camille, please reconsider using magic in the building. It'll only be more work for me if you kill him since I am going to be the one cleaning up his corpse. Sophie suddenly appeared behind Leo and said, Sophie, why did you let him inside? What if he was a spy? Or an assassin? Sophie glanced at Leo and scoffed. He looks too weak to be either of those. And if he tried anything funny, I would have killed him on the spot. Leo swallowed nervously after hearing her words. What kind of maid is she? She seems even more dangerous than Miss Camille. He cried inwardly. Miss Camille took a deep breath and released it in a long sigh before deactivating her magic. She narrowed her gaze at Leo and spoke a moment later. If you dare tell anyone about what you saw today, I am going to kill you. My lips are sealed. I promise, he swore. As if I can believe your words anymore. Leo sighed before speaking. I am here because I wanted to talk to you about that. I didn't agree to help Nina because I wanted to, but because I was forced to. Can we talk alone? Sophie interrupted. Lady Camille, I would like to clean this mess up before dinner, but I won't be able to do that with you here. Then I will help you clean. This isn't the first time you've had an outburst. You'll only get in my way like the last time. I can deal with this myself. Sorry. I'll make it up to you. Miss Camille said to Sophie before going to another room with Leo. Is she really your maid? Besides her uniform, she doesn't feel like a maid. Leo asked out of curiosity. That's just her hobby. She's actually my cousin. Anyways, did you come here to talk about Sophie, or did you want to speak with me? Miss Camille stared daggers at him. Before I start, I would like to apologize to you. I know you only said those things to me for my own good, but I ended up making you angry. Sorry. Leo lowered his head and apologized in a sincere voice. Miss Camille was not expecting such a sincere apology and was taken aback by it. Whatever. Just tell me why you agreed to help Nina. Resurrection magic is incredibly dangerous and considered forbidden magic because it's associated with vampires, so you better have a very good reason. Leo nodded with a serious expression. He took a deep breath and spoke. This is going to sound crazy, but I want you to believe me when I say that. He proceeded to tell her about the magic system and the quests that it gives him. Miss Camille was speechless by the end of it. She wanted to yell at him for making such an outrageous excuse just to help Nina, but when she thought about Leo's existence, she couldn't say with confidence that he was lying either. I get the gist of what you're saying, but I have a lot of questions. First of all, where did you get this magic system? I don't know. I saw it for the first time after you did the magic affinity examination on me, but it could have existed before that. Do you remember when I asked you about the floating texts, but you claimed that I was only hallucinating? Yes, I remember. The frown on her face grew deeper from thinking. After a moment of silence, she asked him, "What other functions does this magic system have besides giving you quests?" "I can use the points that I get from completing quests in the magic shop, where I can increase my magic power and mana capacity alongside other stuff." No wonder why his magic power increased so suddenly that one time. It was all because of this magic system. Is this phenomenon also the reason why he's so talented? Or maybe his talent is the reason the magic system chose him. Just where did he acquire it? In his previous world? That's very possible. Miss Camille pondered to herself. So this magic system is also the reason why you accepted Nina's request, right? She then asked. That's right. I received a special quest from the system when Nina asked for my help. If I refused, I would be penalized by the system for failing the quest. However, I don't know what kind of penalty I will receive, and I don't want to find out, so I had no choice but to help her. Miss Camille rubbed her eyes and sighed. All right, I have one last question for you. Can you prove the existence of the magic system? If you can, then I will believe you and forgive you for betraying me. Leo pondered for a moment before nodding. I can, but it might take some time. I am currently saving up magic points to buy more mana for myself. You can gauge my mana capacity before and after I use the magic system. If that's not enough, I can prove it to you when I unlock another magic affinity through the system. But you can acquire more magic affinities through the system. Miss Camille was shocked to hear this. Yes, that's how I got my wind magic affinity. He nodded. Does it have a limit? She asked after swallowing nervously. I don't know. Miss Camille turned silent again to ponder. If this magic system is real, then his potential is truly unlimited. He could even become the most powerful individual in this world. With his magic system, humans will finally have a chance to get rid of the vampires and monsters that plague this world. She couldn't help but feel excited about a potential future where humans no longer have to hide in fear like rats within the city walls. Looks like everything went well. Leo sighed in relief inwardly. He had been nervous about telling Miss Camille the truth about his magic system, mostly because he didn't know how she would react to it. Fortunately, he listened to Lilith's advice and spoke to her. Now what, Miss Camille? Leo asked her sometime later. She pondered. As much as I don't want him involved with Nina or her resurrection magic, I don't want him to be penalized by the system. If the system decides to stop helping him because of this, it would be a tragic loss for humanity, and I would not be able to forgive myself for this. Due to the importance of the magic system and its potential, she did not want to risk losing it. I am going to help you with your magic system. Since it's telling you to help Nina, you're going to help her. However, you won't be able to use resurrection magic with your current mana. You'll need at least 50,000 mana to even activate the magic circle. 50,000. Nina told me that I only needed 9,000. He exclaimed. Then she probably has an artifact that will give you more mana. For example, if I don't have enough mana to use a magic spell, I can simply borrow mana from an artifact. It's common practice. I see. However, I still need a minimum of 9,000 mana, and I only have a little over 1,000 right now. I don't know how much mana I will be able to get from my next purchase in the magic shop, but it should put me close to that amount, considering how much magic points I need to purchase it. How far away are you from making the purchase? Miss Camille asked. I only need to finish one more quest, but that requires me to kill 50 monsters. I am already almost halfway done. Is that it?
We can finish that this weekend, she said.
Yes, that's all the quest I have for now, not including the special quest. Okay. Keep me up to date if anything changes with the magic system, or you need help. Since Leo willingly revealed such a huge secret to her, she felt obligated to assist him. After all, if she was the one with a magic system, she would have most likely kept it to herself, as she doesn't trust anyone enough to share such information. Sometime later, Miss Camille brought Leo to a large room in the basement. This place looks like the training area at the Adventurers Guild. To think you had such a place right underneath your home, Leo was awed. Does this mean we're going to be training now? He asked. You can leave right now if you don't want to. I want to. Please train me. Wait here for me. I will be back, Miss Camille said to him before leaving through the staircase. Leo stood there in silence until she returned. Wear this. Miss Camille handed him 2 rings that looked like it came straight out of a fantasy movie, a black and a red ring, both with a weird insignia on it. Elder's Ring of Regeneration and Elder's Ring of Empowerment. They're both S-rank artifacts. One boosts your mana regeneration and the other increases the effects of your artifacts. With these 2 combined, you'll be able to use magic spells much more frequently. S-rank artifacts? And 2 of them at once? I'm afraid of asking, but I really want to know. How much did they cost? He asked her. I found one of them inside a labyrinth, and I bought the other one for $50 billion, she calmly said. F50. Leo was left speechless by the astronomical price. He was scared to even put these rings on his fingers after learning about their value. Are you sure you want to let me use such precious artifacts? They were my most used artifacts during my days as an adventurer, but now that I have retired, I rarely need them anymore. And it's not like I am giving them to you. I'm taking them back at the end of your training. Oh, of course. I would be in a constant state of paranoia if I had such valuable treasures with me, he exclaimed. Miss Camille retrieved a mana-absorbing dummy from her spatial storage and placed it in the center of the room. There's only one way to efficiently increase your mana capacity, by using mana. The more mana you use, the more your body adapts to mana, which will naturally increase your mana capacity. Also, magic spells that require more mana to use will increase your mana capacity faster than using magic spells that require fewer mana, so you should always use the magic spell with the highest mana consumption. She explained to him. Highest mana consumption, huh? That would be the Void Spear. Leo started tossing Void Spears at the dummy. He looked at his mana capacity after throwing his first Void Spear. 800/1021. He continued looking at it to see how effective the artifacts were. 825/1021. 850/1021. His mana regenerated by 25 every second, meaning that he only needed to wait 8 seconds to recover enough mana to use a Void Spear. My god, these 2 artifacts are freaking amazing. They definitely deserve to be rated S-rank artifacts. He cried with excitement after seeing the results. Leo proceeded to throw Void Spears at the dummy for the next few hours. By the end of the day, Leo's mastery rank for Void Spear increased to B, and his mana capacity increased by 120. Here you go. Leo handed the artifacts back to Miss Camille at the end of his training, feeling a little reluctant to let them go. Since you're already here, why not stay for dinners? Miss Camille suddenly said to him after taking back her artifacts. If you don't mind. He nodded. After returning to the first floor of the mansion, Miss Camille called for Sophie. We'll have a guest for dinner tonight. I understand. Sophie nodded, but she looked at Leo with a dissatisfied expression when she spoke. Once she left, Miss Camille said to him, Dinner won't be ready for another half hour. You should go clean your body before then. Did you bring another pair of clothes? Yes, I carry around all of my stuff now that I have the spatial ring. Miss Camille showed him the bathroom a moment later before leaving him alone. Go downstairs to the first floor after you're done. The dining room is to the right. Okay. He nodded even though he already knew the location from the tour earlier today. After cleaning himself in the large bathroom that looked more like a spa, Leo changed into clean clothes before making his way to the dining room, where Miss Camille was already sitting at the dining table. I've been wondering about this for a while now, but are the 2 of you the only ones living in this mansion? He asked her.
Yes.
What about your family? They're in another city, she calmly said. I see. Leo had a feeling that she didn't want to talk about her family, so he stopped his questions there. Tell me about the meat in your world. her personality, and whatnot. Miss Camille suddenly said, "You want to know the difference between the two of you, right?" "No problem," he smiled. "First of all, the two of you have a pretty similar personality. You're both strict and always serious, and even though you seem cold and uncaring on the outside, you're actually the opposite on the inside." The Miss Camille I knew wasn't a drinker, and she didn't live in such an exaggerated home. Although she has her own outbursts at times, it's nothing compared to you. I guess you can say that you're a little more emotional than her. Miss Camille frowned after hearing such words. When Leo saw this, he quickly changed topics. Anyways, my Miss Camille also worked in the infirmary. She likes spicy food but hates bitter food. She has a hobby of collecting rare crystals, and Leo spoke about the Miss Camille of his world without pausing to ponder, almost as though he knew everything about her from heart. "It sounds like you like her very much." Miss Camille spoke some time later. "Well, she was the only person in the whole university who would listen to my complaints and cared about me getting hurt. At first, I would only go to the infirmary to get treated for my injuries after fighting with the bullies, but I eventually realized that Miss Camille was just as lonely as me, so I started going to the infirmary whenever I could just to spend time with her. She was both my friend and my counselor. If it weren't for her, who helped me get through most of my darkest times in the university, I wouldn't have survived this long, probably," Leo said with a somewhat lonely smile on his face. "I see. So that's why he has so much trust in me. However, I am not the same Camille that he knows and trusts, so why does he put so much trust in me? Is it simply foolishness, or is it something else?" Miss Camille wondered inwardly. "Regardless, at least I know the reason behind his trust now. If it's him, perhaps I won't have to worry about being betrayed by someone for the first time in a long time." Sometime later, Sophie showed up at the dining room with dinner. When that happened, they stopped their conversations and focused on the food in front of them.